You know, the problem is I wake up and I put all this time and energy and effort into getting ready and looking pretty. Get the hair, got the perfect amount of product in the hair today. I mean, just the swoop is swooping. That thing is swooping today. And then I remember I got to put on headphones for you people. I got to put on headphones and it's going to put a dent in the locks.
You could have did the earbuds thing. Do you got earbuds?
Actually, I do, but I don't have a way to hook them into the board.
You should have asked engineering.
Actually, I'm going to now.
I got one, but
Can you guys Bluetooth into the board for me?
Oh, no. I mean, you need to wire.
No, that's so 2000 and late.
Yeah,
we moved past that.
Well, then.
We've circled all the way back around to.
I guess you continue with the archaic big old headphones on your head, messing up your swoop then.
I mean, the swoop going to be what the swoop going to be. It looks good, though. It's swooping hard today. The swoop's for real.
You'll have a half hour when we're off the air to work on your swoop again. To reform it. Can you reform it if it goes down?
Yeah, I brought some it's school picture day here at the Radio Ranch. So I brought some I brought the hairspray, I brought the comb, brought the blow dryer. All right, You
actually brought the blow dryer.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. These pictures are I was going to say all we're going to get for a year. I don't know that we're going to get them for a year. We might get like 2 or 3 of them. And that'll be that. But
the last time we took pictures
we're going to get, they're going to look damn good.
Last time we took pictures was when we switched to the fan, I think. Why not stick with the other things? Those don't match.
What do you mean they don't match? They absolutely do match.
The white works so much better with the white on your shirt.
They both work.
No.
Let's be clear. They're both pairs of glasses look phenomenal.
I feel bad for you that you think that matches better than the white.
How does it not match?
The white is better. That's all I'm saying. The white is better.
I mean, fashion is subjective largely and obviously. But they definitely match. You may not think they match as much, but they definitely match. If there's one thing in the world that I'm objectively good at, it's accessorizing.
I think those glasses that you're wearing now are becoming a crutch, another personality. I think when you put them on, you become a different person.
Yeah, I look at myself and I'm like, damn, I am good looking.
I'm not sure everyone likes that person. I'm just saying.
I think it's just you.
No, I think other people have known.
Also, no, I don't think I'm a different person. I just think I'm a better looking version of myself, which is objectively difficult to do. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Your voice changes.
Ladies.
How you word things is differently. You look at the camera different.
I think what it comes down to is yesterday you were just wrong a lot.
No,
and it felt important.
I'm
to
wrong
clarify
all the time. Yesterday was not one of those times. I didn't have to come on the air and apologize yesterday. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that was me being wrong on Friday, not yesterday. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. It is a Tuesday morning. We are glad to have you here along for the ride. 4 hours of fun and shenanigans getting underway. Monday Night Football last night was a slog.
Kickers suck, man. They do. I agree with Jason Kelsey. Let's just get rid of them. I mean, especially the Jets kicker, if you're rooting for the Jets. I get it. High winds, but he dunked that off the pole a couple times.
Yeah, high winds. I'm slowly but surely working my way over into the McAfee camp that I think there should be one day a month where a local school opens up. And if you want to criticize kickers, you have to go kick publicly, right? Like I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that goes, if you don't play the game, you can't criticize the athletes. Yes, yeah, you can. I've said many times, and I have come up with the absolute perfect analogy for it. I don't need to be a Michelin star caliber chef to recognize that this food's burnt, right? Like if you serve me bad food and the waiter comes over and I say, yeah, I'm really sorry to be a bother, because there's one thing I don't do in life, and it's send food back. All right. You could bring me a shoe and I'd be like, oh, this must be a unique deconstructed take on the beef Wellington. But if you bring me the food and the food is cooked No, that's the wrong time to use that particular expression. And the food's bad. It's burnt. So it's overdone. If you bring me the steak and you bring it to me well done, aka ruined, and I don't need to. And I say, hey, waiter, I'm very sorry to cause a disturbance here. It's not my style, but I asked for my steak to be cooked good, and you brought it to me bad. And he goes, well, do you know how to cook? It doesn't matter. I don't need to know how to put together a 5-star meal. I do, but I don't need to know how to put together a 5-star meal to know that the one that you brought me ain't that. Except I'm coming around on kickers. I think if you want to openly criticize kickers once a month, you should have to go down to the local high school and just kick an extra point. I'm not even talking about anything outlandish. If you make it, you may criticize kickers for the remainder of the year. But if you miss it, not a word.
Okay, now that you're done, how would I recognize beef Wellington if they put it in front of me?
So beef Wellington is effectively a steak, but they make it and cook it inside of a puff pastry. So it's going to look like a big round pastry, but when you cut it open, there's a steak inside. It's delightful.
Do they cook the steak first, or do they cook it inside the pastry?
Well, as my analogy just referenced a minute ago, I don't know. That's a great question. And here's the fun thing. I'm a big Hell's Kitchen guy.
I just looked it up. It looks like a steak loaf.
That's not unfair. I'm a big Hell's Kitchen guy. You ever watch Hell's Kitchen? Gordon Ramsay?
Nah.
It's all right. So Hell's Kitchen is one of the few like cooking competition
I want
shows.
people to yell at me. I'll just go back to Ohio
or work in a restaurant. I love Hell's Kitchen. I'm a big fan. Effectively, the game show is that there's like 20 chefs, and they all go to work in Gordon's restaurant, which is called Hell's Kitchen. And for the majority of the show, they're on 2 teams, and they do a dinner service at night. And Ramsay kind of like instructs both teams, and somebody's the team leader, and you're the sous chef, and you're on soups, and you're on appetizers, and you're on, steak or whatever. And they go through this whole thing. And at the end of the night, one team wins, and that team gets immunity from elimination that night, and they usually get some sort of nice prize. They get to go out on a drinking crew with Gordon Ramsay the next day, and the losing team gets a punishment. So, like, they have to clean up the kitchen, and they gotta, shuck 900 pounds of oysters the next day, whatever it is. And Gordon usually has like them make the same meal every dinner service. So it's always an appetizer of, what's it called? Damn, now I'm forgetting it. It's like a rice dish. Listen, I don't mean to subject you all to listening to me Google this. Appetizer, rice dish. Oh, damn it. What is it called? Hang on. I this is terrible radio. I know.
I should.
Risotto. Risotto. I knew I could get there.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
So he always has them cook risotto. And then there's like 3 meals. They always do like a Chilean sea bass. Or they always do beef Wellington. And the thing is, Wellington's real hard to get right? Because you've got to, you're baking and you're cooking a steak at the same time. You've got to be on your game to get a beef Wellington right. And if you don't get it exactly right, it ends up being real bad. So I watch this show all the time whenever it's on. I'm a big fan. This is one of my comfort shows like this, even though it's Gordon Ramsay yelling at people for an hour.
Bobby Flay's better.
It depends on what aspect of the television chef you're going for.
Yeah, he doesn't yell.
See, as somebody,
I don't want somebody yelling at me.
The thing is, Gordon yells because he cares. All right. If you've ever actually, here's the fun part.
Or and this because is how, that's how he became famous.
Not really, because Gordon Ramsay obviously got famous in Britain. And if you ever watch his British shows, that's not how he is. He's much more subdued in the British shows.
You just made my point. That's how he became. I should have said
that's how he became famous in America. Exactly.
Okay, right.
And don't get me wrong. Even knowing that, I still watch it. Anyway, the point is, I've watched Gordon and the gang make beef Wellington 100 times. Couldn't tell you how it's done right now. Right? I can cook a lot. I make you mean steak. Couldn't tell you how to do a beef Wellington.
And still kickers, if they cannot fix the physics, if they cannot fix the trajectory, I mean, I can do that in a video game. It's like, okay, okay, so the wind is this much. If I kick it this way, if the wind gust remains steady, which there's no way to know that for sure, but I at least got to factor that in, then maybe I don't dunk it off the post.
Yeah, 15-year NFL veteran Greg Zuerlein. Why didn't you just do that? I'm sure he went, I don't care about wind, just kick.
I don't know why whenever you say anything that's supposedly me speaking, you have to use that voice. It's demeaning.
No, that was Greg Zuerlein saying.
Yeah, I bet Greg Zuerlein talks better than both of us.
I don't know about that. I'm pretty good at talking.
He looks pretty refined. I'm just saying, but he not a physics guy. Obviously, it didn't work. If it was one kick, that's different. But he did it twice.
I need to know. This is not. I'm gonna go. This is not CM Punk talking to Triple H. This is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. Okay. I need to know.
I'm okay with that without what I'm wearing in the hair today. So I'm good with that.
Is this a troll from you, this Greg Zuerlein take, or do you honestly think that Zuerlein doesn't pay attention to how and where the wind is blowing?
Your one and only job. Do your job better. Kickers get fired all the time because they cannot figure out how to fix it in game. Other players in other positions figure out how to fix it in game. That's why kickers, they just fired another kicker. Name another position where, boom, you're out, and then another one's in the same week, and it's okay.
Practice squad guys get caught up all the time.
That's not the same.
All the time.
It's not. Listen, kickers are expendable. If they were not, they wouldn't get fired all the time.
Kickers are not expendable. It's just that
they're temps. That's what they are.
No,
kickers.
Justin Tucker, who's been with the Ravens for 30 years, is a temp. He's a 30-year temp.
Just because he's the top of the pyramid.
Harrison Butker, absolute temp.
They're temps.
You know how I know they're not temp? You know how I know they're not a temp? I can tell you why. I can tell you why they're not a temp. Because if they were a temp, Harrison Butker would have got canceled. But he didn't. You know why he didn't? Because he's real good at kicking. He's real good at it. You don't just get. Listen,
he's been canceled. It just doesn't matter in football.
He has
as
not
far as that goes,
been canceled at all.
I'm sure he has.
Second off,
why are you bringing politics in? We're talking about temps here.
No, yes, correct. The point that I'm making is, if Harrison Butker was that easily replaceable, they would have that easily replaceable to him. He'd have been gone.
Question: as long tenured as Zuerlein is. Zuerlein is. He missed 2 more kicks. Is he still on the team?
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
So Hall of Famers get cut.
He missed 2 kicks in the cold outside in the swirling wind. It happens. How about, here's an idea. How about maybe don't get to the 2-yard line and then kick field goals? Like. Am I not putting that on the Jets offense there?
Well, you need to put it on the person whose job it is to go out there and kick the ball. That's his job.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
That's his only job.
I don't disagree. That doesn't mean the job's easy.
He's also a temp.
He's been with the Jets since I was born.
All kickers are temps. I don't think he's been
all
with them.
Players are temps.
To a degree, but I don't think he's been there since you were born.
He obviously has not been there since 1985.
Yeah, no one has a 39-year career.
Brady almost did. Felt like it.
He'd come back if he could.
He absolutely would. I wonder if he got the he's going to be part owner of the Raiders in the next few weeks. Do you think he hires himself? He's like, we got a new quarterback. Aiden O'Connell's not the guy. I know exactly. By God, that's Tom Brady's music. What song does Tom Brady walk out to? What's Tom Brady's walkout song?
Whatever song's about cheating. I mean, when he cheats, that's a country song, but that works.
Maybe next time I think before he cheats. I'm here for it. All right, we got a lot to get to on the show today, including last night's Buffalo Bills win over the New York Football Jets. Specifically, the fact that y'all and Aaron Rodgers, by the way, noted temp Aaron Rodgers. We're complete. Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is that bumper that he's playing right now?
We all know because it goes off at the same time every day.
I was like, what bumper is he playing? That's a unique sound. I thought you were playing like some Oasis on the bumper music today.
Doesn't sound like Oasis. It sounds like something played in a cathedral. I guess you could play Oasis in a cathedral. British cathedral.
I mean, I was going to make it an Oasis beats each other up fight joke, but I'll leave it alone. Anyway, check it, people. Aaron Rodgers also thought that game was over officiated last night. And I get it. It wasn't not that. But also, they were right for a lot of the calls, right? Like, don't we as fans have some obligation to recognize that the officials do have to throw the flag when the flag needs to be thrown? I saw a lot of heat last night, and I'm like, guys, you do realize all the calls they're showing them, and they'll
get a talking to, I'm sure, because they threw so many flags and made the game drag on such a good game for the most part. Yeah, I bet that particular crew doesn't throw that many flags next game.
But like, they were good flags.
Yeah, there could be those kind of good flags every single game. Holding can be called. There's so many things that could be called, and some crews call things way too much.
We're going to talk about this when we come back here in just a minute. We'll let you hear what Aaron Rodgers had to say about it. Did it bog down the game to the point of unwatchability for you last night? Didn't for me. Never once did I think, I'm going to turn this off and go to bed. Too many flags. How'd you feel about it? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Mad World.
All right, guys. Good morning. Quick break. We're coming right back. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it is so bad. I mean, again, I never spoil the day after a movie comes out. It was so bad. I did not want anyone to suffer through that.
I have heard nothing. In fact, this dude went on Instagram the other day and he's like, y'all, I just watched half of Joker 2. He's like, there were probably 30 people in the theater, and about 45 to an hour in, people started getting up and walking out. And an hour and a half, hour 10 or so in, I got up and walked out. And when I got up and walked out, I was the last person in the theater.
By the way, there were 4 when we went to see it. Me and Cameron and Lisa were 3 of them. And it was pretty bad.
I've heard nothing good.
You know, so now you have something to compare to. Well, at least it's not Joker 2.
Yeah.
When you go see a movie that's kind of bad. So at least they gave us that. As people have speculated, the first one did better than they thought, so the director decided to ruin everything on purpose. And if that's true, he accomplished it. Good job, dude.
Hang the banner. The Rob Brown Show continues. Fan Upstate, Rob, the great one, Alonzo, and you. Monday Night Football last night, 23-20. The Buffalo Bills knock off the New York Football Jets in this one. But the story of the game was the officiating. And even I will acknowledge it got a little redonkulous, especially late in the game. I think on the Jets' final drive, a final drive in which a field goal sends us to OT and a touchdown walks off a divisional game. By the way, a division that those two teams, one of those two teams is winning it. And so that game was worth a full game in the standings. Well, on the final drive of the game, it was like every play, a flag came out. And this is an interesting conversation to me, because on one hand, it absolutely bogged the game down. A game that was otherwise pretty good, and a game that was not only otherwise pretty good, but a game that was otherwise pretty good and was coming down to a final drive led by Aaron Rodgers less than a week after they replaced the head coach, changed up the play caller, yada, yada, yada. Well, it got bogged down quite a bit, to the point that the play-by-play guys, Joe and Troy, were like engaged in a long conversation about the penalties and had plenty of time to be involved in the long conversations, because it's like every time you got to a breathing point, another flag came out. Aaron Rodgers had something to say about it after the game.
I know they weren't all your side of the ball, obviously. Can you just talk a little bit about the penalties tonight?
Yeah, it seemed a little ridiculous. Some of them seemed really bad, including the roughing the passer on me. That's not roughing the passer. Might as well play sarcastic ball if we're going to call those things. And I thought the one on Kinlaw was not roughing the passer either.
So first off, 5 points to Aaron Rodgers for the sarcastic ball reference. All right, that's very good work.
Is this something I should know? I thought he made it up.
No, sarcastic ball is a couple of years ago, there was a South Park episode in which the boys of South Park were beginning to play football, and it was right during the time where all of this, a couple of years back, it was right during the time where the rule changes were all going into effect to start protecting quarterbacks. And sarcastic ball was this ridiculous concept of football that the parents of South Park started making the kids play. I don't know how to explain it other than you should go watch it, right? Like there's one point where if you do something wrong, instead of a penalty, you have to offer an apology and a word of encouragement to the opponent. Like it was South Park. It was wildly sarcastic, and they called it Sarcastaball. So good on Aaron Rodgers for making a Sarcastaball reference right there. That's Rob Brown levels of petty, and I appreciate it. However, I also want to point out that Aaron Rodgers came out and said, "Yeah, that roughing the passer they called against or for me was not roughing the passer," because he's right. It wasn't. Rodgers had the ball. The ball was being thrown when he was hit. Like there was nothing that met the qualifications of roughing the passer other than that's Aaron Rodgers and he got hit.
No, I mean, they pointed this out in the broadcast, and also the fact that he bore all his weight down on top of the quarterback. It's a rule. It's a stupid rule, but it is a rule. If you put your hands down and try to stop all the weight coming down, that's different, but he didn't do that, and that's why they called it. Would they have called that on Andy Dalton? No.
Right. So
but it's another one of those stupid subjective things. Well, it kind of looked like he put all his weight on it. Let's just throw the flag.
I don't disagree that it is.
They would have done the same thing if it was Josh Allen.
Or Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Anybody in that. I don't disagree. But again, that then means that we are acknowledging the penalty was hitting Aaron Rodgers, right? Like if that's it, are they making that call if that's Spencer Rattler? Are they making that call if that's, I don't know, pick your next mid-tier quarterback?
See, they could have made the call on the high-low hit on him that hurt him. I mean, maybe that made more sense.
No, what got him hurt was the Jets' offensive line.
Well, there's that too.
God, they were atrocious.
If he still had the ball, then they probably would have called, but he was able to get that pass off, I think. Yeah, he was. But still, there were worse hits. But I understand how that rule was explained. If they want to call that, they absolutely can do it, and they did.
Yeah, I mean it's again, the call was hitting Aaron Rodgers, but
listen, if Tara tackles you, it's not going to hurt. If I tackle you and put all my weight on you as we're going to the ground, it's going to hurt.
I mean,
if Fat Boy does it, you're a pancake.
I'm dusted. I'm Thanos. That's true. I will say this: props on Rodgers for calling out that spot. Now, there was the flip side of this, which was on that final drive, the flags kept coming out. And it started, you could almost hear the disappointment in the voices of the play-by-play crew because they were, and I get it because I've been there. They were disappointed, I think, because they knew they were sitting there in a position that they could have had in front of them. They could have had in front of them an all-time classic, right? Here comes Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, already had a Hail Mary tutty in his back pocket.
That was pretty amazing.
I mean, like clearly he's got it in him to figure out a way to put 7 on the board in that spot and win that game.
Again, knock it down, dudes. If you're on defense,
I don't know how hard that is.
Knock it down.
How
that got in between there. I mean, it was
spike that thing through the crust of the earth. Spike that thing to the turf so hard it leaves a crater. What are we doing, Buffalo? Anyway. Get to the end of the game. You can hear the frustration in Troy Aikman's voice. He said before he realized that he did not unmute his soundboard. You can hear the frustration in Troy Aikman's voice.
Awfully sore in the morning because he's continued to take a lot of hits. Rodgers trying to set up a screen, flag again. We've had basically 200 yards worth of penalties. Now there's 2 separate fouls. There's one in the defensive backfield, and then there's one back at the 30.
Yeah, it's like a preseason game.
There were 2 fouls on the play, holding offense, number 78, holding defense, number 31. Those penalties offset, replay, first down.
So 1st down and 10 after the pass interference call with 2:47 left and 3 timeouts for the Jets.
Well, I was trying to get to it. I didn't clip it out, but effectively, there's a point after that where Aikman says, "I guess they gotta throw the flag, don't they? It's easy to get upset with the officials, but those were penalties." And that, to me, is the interesting thing the NFL is going to have to address here, because on one hand, the game slogged down, the game bogged down, the game slowed down. On the flip side, 90+% of the flags that came out were like clear and evident and play impacting, right? It wasn't like they were there's spots sometimes where you know the quarterback hands it off on an off tackle right, and the ref throws a holding flag on the offensive tackle on the left who's 20 yards away from the play. It's like, was it a holding? Yeah. Did it impact the play? Nah, not at all. It's not even on that, third of the football field. The calls that were being made on that, specifically on that final drive last night, were directly involved in the play, like directly involved in the play. And so I'm scrolling social media last night because I'm watching the game. I'm scrolling social media last night, and I'm reading through the comments, and it's like dude after dude that's like, oh, these refs need to be fired. They need to be taken off the field. They're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but everything they're calling's right? Like it sucks. I'm not disagreeing that we've got ourselves a potential instant classic and a game that may very well dictate who wins the AFC East and gets a playoff spot at the end of the year. And in a year where the Jets ain't nowhere near where they wanted to be, and the Bills have figured out, oh, we should probably get somebody to throw the ball to for Josh Allen. The outcome of this game is massively importante, and these teams are playing ugly football, right? Like, it's not that the refs are taking over. It's that these two teams are playing ugly, penalty-filled football, and I don't really know what you want me to say here. Like, hey, ref, let him cheat, right? Let him cheat, because then I don't have to wait an extra 20 seconds between snaps. I mean, it's already 10:30 at night. If you're staying up for the end of the game, you're clearly staying up for the end of the game. Hey, ref, let him cheat so that we can get out of here 5 minutes earlier. I don't know, man. When you've got Troy Aikman on the mic telling people, look, you don't have to like it, but these are definitively penalties that definitively impact the game.
I don't know, man. I think Troy had been drinking. Joe Buck said something, and then Troy said the exact same thing, like he was the first one to say it. I'm like, are you just not listening to the guy next to you? Not like I haven't experienced that before, but still, I mean, it's like, yeah, I think they were hitting it.
You know what it sounded to me? It sounded like Joe Buck said something, and then Troy Aikman just said the exact same thing. It's like, we're even listening to the guy, like that's what it sounded. Okay. Two things. Number one, you're not wrong, but that's kind of what a color guy is, right? Like, play-by-play says this is what happened, and the color guy says this is why it happened.
The exact same thing. I mean, like he didn't hear what Joe just said. It was weird.
Second thing here. You don't have to throw those of us who like a whiskey under the bus every time somebody makes a mistake, man.
Okay, all right. The concussions have impaired him to the degree that he's finally showing the effects of which is making, maybe they need to check that out.
There it is. From this point forward, when somebody makes a mistake, we blame it on a head injury.
Yeah, so I think it was better to blame it on drinking.
Point here is, I appreciated Troy calling that out, because I saw a bunch of people online like, oh, this is why the NFL's unwatchable. It's like, maybe it's why the Jets and the Bills are unwatchable. Let's try that out. Try that one on for size. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Yes.
For excessive talking.
Yes, I'm fluffing my hair after every, because like, unlike Rob, I don't put product, so I can't. I mean,
you should.
Nah, I don't.
Massively
need it.
helpful.
Yeah, I don't need it.
You just said you're having a fluff your hair after every break.
Well, I mean,
You wouldn't have to do that if you put some product in it.
I do not mind running my fingers through my hair.
Are you one of these dudes that's anti-product because
No.
it sounds girly?
No.
Okay.
Back in the day, I've said this before. I had
Big Aquanet guy?
I had it. No, it was hardening mousse. So I had a mullet with the side shaved and the top spiked with bangs. So
Okay, the boss.
the bangs were hard. The spike at the top were hard thanks to the mousse. So no, I don't have a problem with mousse. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Not only are we doing pictures, we're doing a big group picture with everybody in it, which we usually only do like at Star Awards or something. So that's going to be interesting. T2 also washed his hair and it looks beautiful. So we may
I
have
wonder why
to
he had it down today.
we may have to bookend my hair on one end, his on the other, because he's also pretty tall too. So tall people will be in the back.
Did you?
Rob will find a way to stretch out in the middle and do his chin pose. If you want to lay on the
I tried out the
ground.
beard and everything last night, man.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. It's the glasses. You're trying to get, it's going to be a goatee before the end of the week.
I think I might do Iron Man for Halloween.
Absolutely.
I think I might do
That's
Iron Man
what
for
it's going to be
Halloween. Yeah.
before that. Yeah.
I found on Amazon a chest piece, but it's thin. So, and it's thin and it goes on a strap that goes around your chest so that it holds to your chest, but you touch it and it lights up. It's Iron Man's chest piece and it lights up. So I think I'm not committed yet. I think for Halloween, I'm just going to put on a suit with a white shirt and just wear these, do the goatee, and then just sporadically turn it on.
I think you should. I mean, it's pretty easy and it probably won't cost as much as doing a full costume. I mean, and everyone's going to know what it is.
Yeah.
And you're already almost there anyway. So.
Do you think that over the years, the way that officiating in the NFL, aside from quarterbacks, do you think that the officiating in the NFL has dramatically changed? I was watching this game last night. Like I said, I'm scrolling through social media, trying to find us some audio for the audio blitz today. And obviously, as it always is, Monday Night Football being the most watched weekly episodic television program in America, it also inevitably is one of the top one or two things trending on Twitter every Monday night. And one of the things that I like to do is just scroll through what's trending on Twitter before I go to bed, just to see, what America's talking about. Because, and I've done the research, we are indeed in America. And there was obviously a conversation.
We're in one of them.
This is America. There was a conversation ongoing about the officiating in last night's Monday Night Football game. And by the way, it was not the only game that the officiating played a massive role in, right? Brandon pops into the chat. He said, I missed most of that conversation, but if you're talking about how sloppy the game was, the Bucs and Saints game was the same way. So is it just the Jets and the Bills, or is it the NFL? And I'm glad you asked that, Brandon. I'm glad you asked that because I actually had that thought last night. I was like, all right, have we changed the way that the NFL is officiated, and maybe football as a whole is officiated, to the point that players have a different view of, approach to the game itself? Or is it the other way around? Is there something going on with the players that is just, or are we overblowing this entire conversation as a reaction to one game? Because I got on last night and there was this conversation happening on social media from people that were like, you know, when you softened up the game, you softened up the players, the discipline is gone from football. And that's why you're in this spot where you've got games that end up this ugly with that many whistles coming out, because the players just don't have the discipline they used to. And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I tried to do that. I tried to do this morning, but I just didn't have the time or the knowledge directly of where to go look in the time that I had. But I am curious, and I will try to find this out today. Lonzo and I, after the show today, do have school picture day. And then I got a couple of things I get to go do this afternoon. So hopefully tonight, I'm going to have time to sit down and do the research on this. But I wonder if there is a difference in the way that the NFL is officiated today. Or is this something that we're just reacting to? Now, I do think that while I am very much in favor of transfer portal, NIL, players having the ability, the right to control their own destiny, their own future, their own finances, et cetera, I also think that, as somebody who played high school football alongside a player who went to a major D1 university on scholarship, I will tell you that in my experience, the kid that I played with when I was in high school went on to go play at a major Southeastern Conference school. He was a wide receiver. And I've told the story on the air before about how this kid, when we were playing high school ball together, got away with everything. I mean everything. I've told you the story before. He was also a hell of a basketball player, about how the night before the state championship game, all of the sudden, our zero tolerance policy for smoking the marijuana went out the window when our star athlete, who was being recruited as both the Division I football and basketball player, was caught smoking the marijuana. Suddenly, it wasn't a zero tolerance policy where you were immediately suspended for the next 2 games. Suddenly, it was, well, if you run a couple of gassers in the parking lot, we'll call it good, right? And if you think that's bad, I've been around Division I programs before. I've been around Division I programs that are terrified, especially in today's era, that if you let a kid get too ticked off by disciplining them, they'll walk on you, right? Which is why I've said many times, the reason coaches don't like the portal ain't because they don't like the portal. They don't like the portal because their job got tougher, right? You've now got to figure out, how do I instill discipline? How do I instill discipline into my team, but also keep my guys happy to be here? And part of the answer to me is, Go find kids who want discipline in the way that they're coached, right? But put all that to the side. I wonder if by the time kids are getting to the league, and then you get all of the idol worship that comes with NFL players. Again, I've hung around them for the 17 years I've been in this game. I promise you, as much as you think you know how many people will bend over backwards, literally and metaphorically, for NFL players, you don't know the half of it. All right? You don't. I watched an NFL player light up a doobie in a very busy nightclub one night, and the bouncers moved people out of the room, like 100 people out of the room, because they would rather that one player be allowed to spark a blunt in the dining room and kick 100 people out of it than tell one NFL player, yeah, dude, maybe don't light up the devil's lettuce in the middle of our restaurant. Maybe don't spark a J, right? Maybe don't Cheech and Chong our dining room. What do you think? Nope. We're going to move people out of this room so that this one guy can do what he wants to do. So I wonder if there is some element of that transfers over, and if it's gotten worse over the years, or if this is, and it may be, if this is just a case of Rob's almost 40 and he's tired of kids on his lawn. I wonder if this is just a case of the inevitable progress of time, the inevitable march to my own grave. If I'm going to walk out of this room in a minute, go to the bathroom and find that I've got another couple of tufts of hair sticking out of my ears. Am I just getting old and this is a kids these days? Because I have to remind myself, there are players in the National Football League who were playing today that were born when I was a senior in high school.
Come on. You don't want to say there are kids playing in the NFL today that could be your kids. You don't want to say that.
Dude, there are kids playing in the NFL today that could be my kids that have kids. Okay?
Maybe in certain states. I don't know.
21-year-old today could have a kid, could have a couple of kids. I'm old enough to be that kid's dad's dad. So I fully acknowledge, I try to be cognizant of, aware of, and address my biases as they come into play. And I acknowledge that one of those biases is looking at the way things were when you were in your prime and thinking, that's as good as it's ever going to be. And anyone who changes that is a dumb kid who doesn't know better. So am I looking at it and making up an issue that's not real? And again, I'm going to do my best to try to run the numbers today. I really do want to go look at penalty rates around the NFL, see if those rates are up or down, if there's rates of particular penalties that seem to be going up, going down, etc.
What if you find that the penalty rates are the same across the board for the last decade? Would that be suspicious? Because there should be up and down each year. What if they were just completely even?
Let me ask you this, and I'm asking this out of genuine curiosity. I'm not trying to paint you in a corner. I'm asking this because I'm curious how you arrived there. What makes you think that? That is it just statistical, just the way numbers work? Some years up, some years down?
What makes me think that is there's a possibility if there are too many penalties, like in the game last night, that the head of officiating, who knows, maybe directed by someone high up, like maybe Roger Goodell or something, and says, hey, back off a little bit. Too many penalties hurting the ratings. I
mean, it's fair, again. And in this conversation,
these guys are graded every week. If you get a bad grade, you get sent down to a worse game or something like that. I mean, during these gradings, it doesn't mean they can't say, hey, too many penalties this week. This crew needs to bring penalties down to this amount. I'm just saying, it would not shock me if that was a possibility, because we know they can call penalties every single play if they want to. Holding happens every single play.
Sure. There was somebody put up I saw this on Sunday night. Somebody put up a compilation, great one, of your left tackle. Yes, I'm glad you laughed because
By
that's
the way, me laughing off mic does not count.
no, I'm not going to count that.
Okay.
It's
all
1-0. Somebody put up a compilation of your left tackle and the number of egregious holds that he got away with last weekend, but somebody turned around and responded to the number of holds from the left tackle on the other side. They're like, yeah, it's relatively common. And in fact, I go so far as to say, as a guy who watches football, when I'm watching, even as a fan, I watch it as a play-by-play guy. All right. When the center snaps the football on any given play, as a play-by-play guy, I'll tell you how it works for me. Center snaps the ball, my eyes stay on the offensive and defensive lines. Right? I'm seeing who's doing what. Are there guys pulling? Are they stepping back in the pass pro? Are they pushing forward? Are they shifting left and right? Then once I see what the offensive and defensive lines are doing, eyeballs go to the quarterback. What's he doing? This is bang, bang, whatever. Once I look at the quarterback, I see where his eyes are looking. And if it's a pass play, I look down the field to the right, and then I follow his head as he sweeps the field. And one of the things that'll happen if you start to watch football and not the ball, you'll see that this is a thing for sure. But as somebody who's spoken with NFL referees before, one of the things that they keep an eye on is call penalties that directly impact the play. A false start impacts every play. A hold on the left tackle when the running back's on a sprint out right, probably not going to impact the play. Now, if it's like on the left tackle and he tackles the defensive end and removes the defensive end's ability to get on a pursuit angle, that's impacting the play, right? So that's kind of where they come from. But I'm wondering if you guys as NFL fans, because I can't for certain say that I have or have not. Do y'all feel like the NFL is a sloppier product in terms of both players committing penalties and officiating overall? I know the game has changed, and the evolution of the game is always going to be there. Quarterbacks, as Aaron Rodgers pointed out earlier, quarterbacks are being hit more often and differently than they were in years gone by, because hits nowadays that get murder charges would have been in highlight reels 10, 15 years ago.
I will say, when I'm watching at home, the one thing I usually watch quietly, except for yelling, "What is holding?" Because I don't know what holding is. What is holding? Especially when they'll show a replay, and there's
holding?
Obviously a holding on someone, and you can see them stretched out, full handful of jersey, and the play-by-play and color guy never say anything about it. What is holding? I don't know what it is.
I do think there is some element of this as a TV guy, and then I'll shut up because we got to go to break. As a TV guy, one of the things that you are, I don't want to say instructed not to do, but it's kind of accepted as common practice. You know, best practices. We've all had to go through best practices training at our job. One of the best practices is you do not draw attention to it if you are a neutral play-by-play guy, right? Now, if you're the voice of the so-and-sos and it's happening against your team, you're gonna point it out. You're gonna bring it up, right? Because it's an excuse or a reason or whatever you want to call it. If you're Joe Buck and Troy Aikman in the booth, you do not call out that the umps or the referees are missing calls unless it's just like unavoidably egregious. So I don't know. Have you guys noticed anything? Is there any sort of difference to you that you feel watching games like last night? By the way, shout out to my guy, Brandon from AT&T. Brandon came and fixed my internet last night. I hugged him. Great dude. Came out, got out of the truck. He's like, "Are you Rob Brown from the radio?"
That's a little creepy that you hugged them. Dude,
we did the full bro hug. My guy hooked me up.
Okay, because that's not what you said. There's a difference between a bro hug and a hug.
Slow, lingering hug.
Yes.
My man
was
showed
caressing
up.
On the back. Yeah, you don't want to.
Dude, my dude showed up at my house yesterday, great one, at 3:30 and left at the end of the second quarter of Monday Night Football. That's how long he took to get my internet up, and he stayed the whole time busting his ass.
Wow.
Brandon, my dog, thank you. You saved my butt. I got to watch football last night. And the fiber's back, which means I don't have to ruin Lonzo's desk on Saturday. Thanks, buddy. You're the best. You know who else is the best? Lonzo, when he reads sports flashes. No!
Yeah, that definitely counts. Also, maybe the lingering hugs why I stayed so long. The Buffalo Bills improved to 4-2 with the 23-20 win over the New York Jets last night. The Jets were down 3 with just over a minute to play when a receiver slipped, allowing the Bills a game-winning interception. Bills quarterback Josh Allen threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, while Aaron Rodgers went 23 of 35 for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception for Green Bay. The New York Yankees are up 1-0 in their ALCS series against the Cleveland Guardians after a 5-2 win. Yanks hurler Carlos Rodon went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and 1 run while striking out 9. Game 2 is tonight at 7:38. The Mets tied the NLCS against the LA Dodgers 1-1 with a 7-2-3 win last night. Tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Western Carolina Catamounts. It's Furman versus Western Carolina right here on your home for Paladins football, The Fan, Upstate. What did I do wrong, Zach? I'm just reading the copy that was given to me. If I did great, that's on me. If I did bad, it's his fault. Did I not say New York Jets? All right, now I'm trying to figure out what I did. What'd I do? I don't know what I did. Rob just did the, I went in the wrong door room thing. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I thought this was my house. Then he came back in like, oh yeah, I did go in the right door.
I forgot my drink.
Trying to figure out what you wrote that I read that is causing a problem on stream. What did I do, Rob? I don't know what I did. Yeah.
Troying somebody.
Yeah, I'd already seen that. I'm surprised you didn't.
Here's my question. Do I buy the cheap, very traditional comic booky looking one, or do I spend $200 on getting a legit one?
Here's what I would do if I were you. I'd drive over to Spirit.
See if they have something.
No, they do.
They do?
I would go look at them, take it out of the bag, and go.
Put the headpiece on.
Well, I mean, it's behind Hooters. They moved it. It's not at the mall.
Really?
It's now behind Hooters. Yeah, it took us a while to find it, but we found it. Actually, it's a better location, parking wise, and I think it's a little bit bigger.
I'm debating between, do I, for the first time in my life, go as a Jedi? Never been a Jedi before. I also got the sign off by the lady. My 40th birthday's in February. She goes, that's a big one. What do you want to do? And I was like, well, we didn't go to Disney. What if we go down to Star Wars Land? And she said, it's your 40th. If that's what you want to do, that's what we'll do. So I may just go ahead and get the Jedi costume to go nerd out at Disney.
You're going to wear that? Okay.
Why would I not? I'm going to make a lightsaber for $300.
I don't know. I thought you were going to say she said you could let your hair grow out.
She didn't say that. I'm doing it anyway. That's why I got a haircut yesterday, but it really was just a trim and fix the swoop. Which is getting a little unkempt. I am verklumped.
I brought the cowboy hat today just cause.
I know. Part of the reason. So the picture's at 11. So the minute we're off the air, I'm going home. I'm leaving all my stuff here. I'm going home to get it and come back. We're having a cowboy hat picture now.
I gotta head out and get my purple sunglasses. out of the car, clean them up, make sure those are nice, ready to go. Still, we've only taken pictures together one time. We've got to do a wrestling pose. I mean, what wrestling pose do we do?
The Pretty Deadly.
I mean, we could do that for sure, but who's on top?
Well, I feel like asking Lonzo to go all fours on the ground. The problem is going to be who's helping him back up.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I was gonna mention. I will need help.
Got to send out an enormous congratulations here. An enormous congratulations here to Justine and Caleb Rosler for winning the North American Wife Carrying Championship for the third year in a row. And you know we have an affinity for three-time award winners around here. What with that, we are that. Congrats to the dynastic run of Justine and Caleb Rosler. Finished the North American Wife Carrying Championship in a record time of 1 minute and 4 seconds. The third year in a row, the Wisconsin couple have taken home the crown. I would say that they have indeed qualified to be labeled a dynasty. That's incredible. They're the Tom Brady of carrying and being carried.
I mean, that's got to be an all year round training type thing. I mean, you don't just go, okay, let's try this. If you're a 3-time champ, I mean, there's got to be a regiment involved. I don't know what it is, but
more than 30 couples competed trying to conquer the grueling 278-yard course and come away with the top prize. The top prize being the winning wife's weight in beer and cash. That's pretty solid. So you gotta.
So they're encouraging you to carry a heavier woman.
No, I mean, here's the thing.
If you're
carrying a heavy lady, heavier than I don't know how to approach this without coming off terribly.
If you're a big dude, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, no, I mean, I don't care how big you are. Heavier things are heavier. So, like, if you can say, all right, here's the deal, oh, beautiful wife of mine, you can check in at, I'm making up numbers. All right, don't fight me. Don't at me, bro. If I can get you at 150 or 127, that might be the difference in 2 or 3 seconds worth of effort, but that's all the difference. It's also the difference in like a pony keg versus a full keg and like 10 grand versus $7,500.
But what if you're Braun Strowman size and you're carrying Nia Jax around?
Again, I promise you Braun Strowman's going to go faster carrying Alexa Bliss than Nia Jax. Respectfully, that's just how weights work. That's just how heavy things go.
He's got a longer stride. You know, I'm just saying.
Again, it doesn't matter the size of the man. If carrying more weight is slower than carrying less weight, that's just how that works. So you got to make the decision here. If you're gonna go and say, why don't you bulk up a little bit, lady? #gains, because I want more brewskis. Here's the thing. If you don't get first, you don't get nada. So is it worth it to sacrifice like 20, 25 pounds of potential brewski and cashola at the end in order to make sure you're carrying lighter weight to get to the end faster? Or do you risk it for the biscuit and go, you know what? Why don't you knock back a couple of pieces of cheesecake before we hit to the course, young lady? And let's see if we can maybe turn that pony keg into a full kegger. I mean, it's risk reward here, right? There's strategy to the North American Wife Carrying Championships. This is big time stuff, y'all. I would say an event that checks in slightly, but only very slightly behind the cheese chasing championship of England every year. You know, the psychopaths that run down the side of a very steep hill chasing a wheel of cheese that's been rolled out ahead of them.
It's more about falling than anything. There's a lot of falling.
Dude, it's like they can't run that event. I read somewhere once they have to have like 30 ambulances on site. I'm not involving no matter the level of pride that I have, I'm not involving myself in a competition that requires a fleet of ambulances.
All right, so if you had to choose between that and running with the Bulls, which one are you doing?
The wheel of cheese or the running with the Bulls? I think I got to go with the cheese.
Yeah, I'm hitting that mountain and chasing some cheese.
I mean, so the thing with the Bulls is what you can do if you want to cop your way out of that. What you can do is go to the start line, run like 5 yards, and then just suicide dive, top rope to Asina into the crowd, right? Like just be in the crowd before the Bulls even get close. And that way you can still say, I ran with the Bulls. Even though what you really did is dive out of the way, it doesn't matter. You get to say it, which would be the point. The cheese thing, I don't think there's a way to fake that. That hill's very steep. You take a step and you're careening down the side of it like a cheesy cartoon. And I got to tell you, like if I was 22, 23, I'd probably go for the cheese, right? If I was 22, 23 years old, I'm probably like, you know what? YOLO. What's the worst happen? I broke a bone. Now I'm pretty sure if I break a bone, I'm never walking the same. I can break a finger and I'll never walk the same. That's where I'm at in my life. So I think I got to go. I think I got to go with the Bulls. Hey, you know what else we got to go with at almost 7:08 in the morning? The thing we're supposed to do here, where we tell you about the top 3 things going on in the world of sports. You know, this.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know going on in the world of sports. I got to tell you, Lonzo, you know, if you accounted for the wind, you're really a temp here. If you'd accounted for the win, you wouldn't have made that mistake. We got producers everywhere. We can just, how many other roles can you just take out a producer and put another one in the very next week?
Well, that's how we all feel, and that's how talent. But you're not going to replace my on-air talent. My
point here is maybe apologize to Greg Zerline.
No.
Maybe apologize to Greg after cooking him in the first segment.
I made my first mistake this year.
The score is 2-1 right now. That's not your first mistake this week. But
it's
see
not
what we
2-1.
What we
it's
don't
1-0.
No.
I'm down 1.
You had
1-0.
No, I had one this morning when I did the thing where I accidentally cut myself off. You had 2 yesterday. It's 2-1. Trust me, I keep track.
Sounds like revisionist history.
No, it's definitely not. I was here the whole time. The point here is you owe Greg Zerline an apology immediately.
That is so 5 minutes ago, and I'm not doing that.
Greg, I know you're listening. I'm very sorry for the sheer audacity of my producer. Unbelievable. Sorry, executive producer.
By the way, I don't belong to you. And my picture's on the side of the building. That would be co-host. I also do producing because I'm that good. Don't make another mistake today, Rob. Because what you're doing now, I will return tenfold.
No. I'm only doing this in defense of my Greg Zerline.
That was a mistake.
Came after. Right. Yeah. But I'm not the one who sits here and goes, you missed one field goal, you're fired. Into the sun. Never again.
Talking's supposed to be your job. Why can't you talk?
Not playing what the X is going on at 7:07 supposed to be yours. What are you doing?
Maybe I made an executive decision and decided I wanted to do it there.
Yeah, thought so.
Listen, Mark Ryan, let's go.
23-20. There's your mistake. 23-20. The Bills knock off the Jets last night. Josh Allen, 19 of 25, 215, a pair of touchdowns. Also rushed for 1. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 35, 294, a pair of tutties, and a game-ending interception that really a lot of people are busting him up because the wide receiver slipped and the Bills defender was able to get over the top and get the pick. Ball was about 10 yards underthrown. Like he slipped because he was having to come back to an underthrown football. It wasn't good. All right. At the end of the day, as Hoodie said last night, at the end of the day, Jets gonna jet.
Yeah, Peyton, Eli, I'm not a big Jets fan, in case you don't know that. I like Fireman Ed, but that's it. But you know what? Coach Salah did a good job with that program. I mean, he brought in a culture, a level of toughness and competitiveness. Unfortunately, the offense, hasn't been what, a lot of quarterbacks last year and a little bit of a slow start. But I thought Coach Salah really did a good job with this team. And, they're probably not that far away from winning.
I'm going to let it run because you got to hear what he says at the
one
end.
Of these two teams is going to win the division. This game is probably going to be the deciding factor. There are two matchups, right? So it just seemed quite early to me to be making a head coaching change.
Yeah.
But Bill, you mentioned.
Bill, that's kind of what it's been there at the Jets. It barely won over 30% in the last 10 years. So, the owner being the owner, just ready, fire, aim.
Hoodie's out here dropping bows on the Jets, Jets on Monday Night Football. Just like that.
If you remember, I told you what my wife did with Woody Johnson on the
straight to his face.
When I told her what game's on, she's like, I don't want to watch it. I can't stand the owner.
Straight to his face.
Yes.
Incredible from Miss Lisa. Incredible work from Miss Lisa. All right, so there's your ball game last night. The Buffalo Bills improve on their season to 4-2. The Jets fall to 2-4.
Hey, real quick, do you think the Jets do they look like a different team?
No, they look like exactly the same team.
So I thought they thought. So you don't think the offense was better without what's his name calling it?
No,
yeah, I do.
I don't at all.
I do.
think Brees Hall had a good game.
I think the offense was better. I think the team played with a little more something, and it was disappointing in the end. But I think you can tell a difference.
I'm not going to give him that credit.
Looks like Salah, who had a really bad record, was holding them down.
No. You're not putting that on Robertson. They lost the game. They lost a winnable game.
What was his record? No, you're missing the point. I'm saying that the team is playing better than they did under him, and the future is brighter with him gone.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Dude, that was 26-39 or something like that?
Oh, I'm not saying
That's not good.
I'm not saying they were good. I'm not arguing they're good. What I'm saying is we're not going to sit here and pretend like everything's now wonderful in Jets Kingdom. It's not. They're the same bad football team.
It's better for sure. Absolutely
they lost to a Bills team that's lucky to be 4-2.
If the temp hadn't missed what his job is, they would have won that game.
If he wouldn't have played Twitter trending, if he wouldn't have missed that field goal, which is a mistake that a professional would never make. Obviously, because they have to be perfect. That's how professionalism
Just keep in
works.
mind, it may not be today. It may not be next week. But if you continue, I will make you pay.
You went after Greg. It is time to illustrate the point that even professionals make mistakes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Even the best of the – we are a three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Award-winning – see, I can't even do it.
Words are difficult. They are, Temp.
Yeah, and yet you go after Greg. Item number 2. I'm not mad at you, Greg. NLCS, ALCS underway last night. Game 2 of the National League Championship Series got us kicked off, and we are back to level at a game apiece in this 7-game set. The New York Mets with a 7-3 win on the road out at Los Angeles, knocking the Dodgers off. Sean Manaea, 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 4 walks, 7 Ks in this performance last night. But it was the New York Mets bats that got him through this. 10 hits in this one, including a shot, a granny, the grandest of dongs from Mark Vientos last night. Had a 4-ribby night because of that grand slam in the second inning. A 5-run second inning for Sean Manaea. For the New York Mets behind Sean Manaea last night, and they never looked back. The Dodgers would tack on 1 in the 5th, a couple in the 6th, but never really made a game of it. We are level at a game apiece in that one. The Cleveland Guardians and the New York Yankees got the American League Championship Series kicked off last night, and it is the Yanks who jump out to a 1-0 lead with a 5-2 win last night over the Guardians. Carlos Rodon took to the bump. a gem. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts in that one. In fact, the only run that he gave up was a home run in the 6th inning late into his 93-pitch evening. The Guardians went with a bullpen game. They started with Alex Cobb. It wasn't meant to be, but he only got through 2.2, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, K3 before he was yanked, and the Guardians had to start rotating guys in and out for the rest of the night. Listen, the only question I had here, the Yankees are a better baseball team. My question was, can they hit the ball? They had only 6 hits last night. In fact, the same number as the Guardians. They just made theirs count when it came to the ribby department. So the Yanks up 1-0. They will play game number 2 this evening. The Dodgers and the Mets are off tonight as they travel back to New York for game 3 coming up on Wednesday. Let's get to item number 3. This one is one where the Clemson Tigers are going to make the water cooler cheat sheet, predominantly because, quarterback has kind of become a big deal down there at Memorial. Quarterbacking has been what made the franchise there for a hot minute under Dabo Swinney. And so it has been relatively usual for a quarterback to rotate out and the next BMOC to rotate in. Well, the next BMOC was supposed to be 6'3", 215-pound Greenwich, Connecticut native Blake Hebert. Blake Hebert was signed up for Clemson since back in June of last year, a 4-star recruit, the number 6 dual threat passer for the 2025 class. Yesterday announced his decommitment from Clemson on X before pledging his services to the University of Notre Dame. We knew that Deuce Knight, which is a great quarterback name. Knight with a K, by the way. Deuce Knight made his change the other day.
Let's go Temple.
What the X is going on? Deuce Knight made his flip the other day, flipping over to Auburn from Notre Dame. Notre Dame decided that Clemson would pay for that by taking Blake Hebert away from him. The Irish were aggressive in the pursuit to land another 2025 quarterback after Deuce Knight announced his departure. Marcus Freeman and company were able to open a conversation with Blake Hebert, who put on X, quote, "I'd like to start by thanking the Clemson coaching staff as well as the program itself for all they have done for me. With that being said, I have chosen to withdraw my commitment and will spend my next 4 years at another institution." The graduate of Massachusetts Central Catholic High School will move on to the next Catholic college as he heads to Notre Dame. Missed nearly all of his junior season after suffering an ankle fracture in the program season opener last fall. As his first year as QB1, he went 58.3%, 1,700 plus yards, 24 touchdowns, and 1 interception before transferring to Connecticut's Brunswick School prior to his senior season. Now joins a recruiting class that has lost several commitments in recent months. 4-star safety Ivan Taylor departed Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost the pledge from 3-star running back Daniel Anderson earlier this month, but they now hold commitments from 9 ESPN 300 pledges, including 4-star offensive tackle Will Black, who will now have the backside protection of Blake Hebert, former Clemson dude turned Irish. When we come back here in just a minute, got some college football topics I want to get into. We'll talk some more National Football League, all of that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, so another live, and we're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you. I don't know, Jacob, but here's the good news about when we go to break. We come back from it. You're welcome.
I ain't coming back. I quit.
I don't want to produce. I never claimed I was. Yeah, I remember that when I came. I gotta go down there. I'm leaving as soon as we get off the air.
Why did it rub it off? Any salespeople are going to try to slip into the picture, or are they part of it too? I don't know.
So is this programming photos or is this everybody?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Probably said in the email that neither one of us read thoroughly. Just
Skimmed it.
New life next break.
Please give at rebuildcarolinas.org. Text us at 71307.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you here, as we are every morning from 6 till 10. We've talked a lot of college football this week, a lot of South Carolina Gamecock talk on Monday after the Gamecocks were in a fist fight on the road at the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday, a fist fight that, keeping it a buck, I didn't expect you to be in. I didn't at all. I think it was one of those games that, or I thought it was one of those games that the stars were aligned against you, right? It was the perfect storm for things to go real sideways, real bad, real fast for the Gamecocks. And I was shocked. I was pleasantly surprised. I fully expected and received plenty of kickback, plenty of pushback for my take. And, again, I said on Friday, y'all should find something better to do with your time than watch this game because it is not going to be enjoyable for you. And Lonzo slapped me around a little bit, metaphorically speaking.
This day is not over, though.
There's gonna be 14 pictures that come out today, and the last one is just gonna be Lonzo stunning me on camera. No, we're not doing that. Relax, calm down.
We wanted to do a wrestling pose.
That switch to turn on the mic was the fastest I've seen you move in a minute. You were like, "Oh, got him."
I prefer a scorpion death drop, but and that would be more photogenic anyway. Because you're not going to sell on my stunner.
I would sell like Scott Hall.
No, can you sell like Austin Theory though?
See, I think Scott Hall had a better sell. I think who had the best sell? Jonathan Coachman had the best stunner sell of all time. That's from Stone Cold too. Stone Cold said that. I agree with him. So we talked a lot about the Gamecocks, and I brought this up yesterday, and I just want to clarify, because obviously tomorrow we turn our attention towards the weekend, and South Carolina's got a weekend ahead of them that is eerily similar to the weekend that they just put behind them. The weekend that they just put behind them was a weekend that they had to go on the road to a very good team. They had to go on the road to a very good team that was coming off of being not just upset the week before, but flat out embarrassed the week before. A road team that has got a very good quarterback at the helm, a road team that's got excellent wide receivers out wide, a road team that's got a lot of talent, but also a road team that's kind of ticked off right now. Oklahoma got embarrassed by Texas this weekend. Up to and including, I don't know if you saw this, up to and including, they took Baker Mayfield's jersey out to the 50 after the game, put Baker Mayfield's jersey down on the 50, and then spiked the Longhorn flag through it into the 50. They asked Baker about it. Did you see his response to it Sunday after the Bucs game? They were like, yo, they spiked your jersey, bro. How you feel about that? And Bake dropped the old, yeah, well, we know who's living rent-free and whose head now, don't we? It's been, how many years has Baker been gone from Oklahoma? 12? It's like, I've been gone a dozen years and they're still thinking about me. I must have done something right. I must have done something good. Anyway, it's the same weekend. It's the same setup. You're on the road, crazy hostile environment, fans who are ticked off, team that is ticked off, coach that is taking some criticism in Brent Venables right now. Because Oklahoma's been good, but they're not like win the big game good, right? Like he's reenacting the old big game Bob script. Be good, always be in the hunt, never be good enough. Never be quite good enough. Anyway, yesterday I said for me, the biggest thing that I want to be able to do is when we return on Monday, I want to be able to call Shane Beamer the C word. Consistent. I want to be able to say Shane had his squad take all the lessons that they learned last Saturday and in the week leading up to it and repeated it this week. I want to be able to say all the things that were stacked up against the Gamecocks last week, going into that game in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. All the lessons they learned, all of the preparations they engaged in, the game plan that they brought, it all worked. And do keep in mind, if you ask me to highlight the fundamental difference between South Carolina, Alabama, and South Carolina, Oklahoma, the fundamental difference to me would be this. Oklahoma's a more defensive predicated team. The game plan is going to have to be just as good, just as well organized, just as well orchestrated, and just as well executed. Brent Venables, a guy that you are all very familiar with, Gamecocks and Clemson fans alike. He has got that team playing aggressive, fast, physical defense. LaNorris Sellers in the last game, I'm going to hope. We talked about this going into the Alabama game. My number one concern about the program under Shane Beamer right now, my number one concern is that players don't appear to be developing in this program. You're getting good talent. You're getting good raw talent. And then it does not feel to me like they are developing, like they are getting better week to week, right? And LaNorris Sellers was kind of my highlight. And again, LaNorris had a good game. LaNorris also had 2 or 3 egregious mistakes. And I'm not saying that LaNorris cost you the game.
Freshman.
I don't disagree. But it is also year 2 in the program. He didn't just show up on campus. This is his second year on campus working under
listen,
Shane Beamer.
I agree with that, but at the same time, it's his first year starting. And as a redshirt freshman, how many snaps did he get when Rattler was there? Probably not much.
Yeah, like a dozen. Like I am the reason that I am not sitting here going full hot take artist express is because I do acknowledge not only is it his first year as as QB1, but he's played 5 games as QB1. 3 of those games have been against some of the best teams in the Southeastern Conference, right? LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama. And if you want to go so far, although they did lose to Vandy this weekend as well, though that loss doesn't look nearly as bad now as it would have earlier, you can go one step better than that and throw in Kentucky, which, despite the fact that Beamer owns Mark Stoops, is a rivalry game. So 4 of the 5 games that Lenora Sellers has played in this season as true dedicated QB1, 4 of those 5 games have been against good, tough Southeastern Conference teams. I'm absolutely not just willing to, actively giving grace to Lenora Sellers. But just because those things are true doesn't mean that we overlook the fact that he was on this team last year. They were working with him last year. He got snaps last year. Not a ton, but he did. And I don't feel like I am looking at a quarterback that I can definitively point at week 1 against Old Dominion and week 5 and go, he's clearly better. There are spots he has played better. But is it clear that he is a better overall QB today than he was at the beginning of the year? And the answer is no. However, I would also like to say, I can chalk some of that up to the game plan. Game plan was more wide open against Alabama. Lenora Sellers was more wide open against Alabama. Can you take that from last week against the A and put it on the field this week against the O? If you have that open game plan, if Lenoris looks like he's active running around the field, I feel a lot better about where this program is. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
Who? But they're pecs. Then.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
You either have pecs or you have moobs. I have
Right.
moobs, and I realized yesterday I literally did push-ups last night. I was so mad at it. I put on a jersey after Brandon fixed my internet and left. I put on a jersey, and I walked into the bathroom, and I sometimes when you're walking and you walk past the mirror and you catch yourself in the profile, and I looked and I was like, oh no. It was an existential moment.
I
for
look
your
and
boy.
go, at least I have my hair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
Matt Tutu, just like that. Just freaking like that. Unbelievable.
take the sunglasses off. You can see the no button.
Does it still say no? Oh, it does. It's on that one. I moved over. The no button.
We'll have to fix that.
Never more appropriate button.
We'll have to make an adjustment there.
Just rip. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
Hey!
you're not an engineer. Don't do engineering things.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Mainly because if I do, then they'll be like, oh, you're an engineer now, too. Matt Rule is the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, former head coach, obviously, of the Carolina Panthers. Matt Rule doing a pretty good job at Nebraska. We always knew it's a 3-year project, always has been under Matt Rule. Well, Matt Rule was at the podium, and it's a bit of a longer clip, but I think it's very interesting. Matt Rule got asked after the Nebraska game, a game that was heavy with transfers, a lot of transfers in this game. Matt Rule got asked the question, how are you? By the way, the Cornhuskers 5-1. They're only lost to a top 25 team in Illinois, and that was by a tutty. They knocked off the State College of New Jersey, Rutgers, this past weekend, 14-7. They are 5-1 with wins over Kentucky. Nope, Colorado. Don't know why I said Kentucky. Colorado, Purdue, Rutgers, and UTEP. Matt Rule was at the podium, and he was asked about the challenges of coaching, of putting together a program in 2024. It's a bit of a long clip, but I want you to listen to it because I want to address it.
It's great. Again, it goes back to what I said all training camp of looking at the schedule before the season and saying what games are easy and what games are hard is not true, and it's not the way of college football anymore. Everyone's got to get that in. Like how many teams lost to teams that you would have never thought Alabama would ever lose to Vandy. You never would have thought maybe USC would lose to Minnesota. The portal, transfers, and it's changed all of it. That's why there's no undefeated NFL teams, right? So, it used to be that a player would say, man, I got offered from, whomever, Ohio State. I'm going there, But now he might get offered, I might get offered from Blue Mountain State, let's just say. And that's
good
the top
reference
school in the country. And they're offering, hey, we'll give you, X amount of money. And another school that was 2 pegs lower on the pecking order of recruiting will say, hey, we'll give you 3 times that. Because for this guy, he's their 15th best recruit. But for them, they're like, well, we can't get those guys. Let's get him. So now that kid's like, do I go there for 50 grand or do I go there for 250? So all of a sudden so why were the great teams of the 90s and 2000s, 2010s, why were they so dominant? They stacked up all the talent. And when guys got hurt, the next guy came in was also a Parade All-American. Now the Parade All-Americans are all spreading out a little bit more. So it's just different. So the days of, it's just different now. So I think Indiana is a tremendous example of that. It's a completely different roster this year than it was next year. You guys got stuck with me. Like I said, I didn't get to bring anybody with me. I love Bryant, but he can't play. They didn't let me bring McCaffrey. They didn't let me bring Brian Burns. So we came in here and we just been building with the guys that were here and trying to recruit. Just kind of a little more the old school way. But you know what? Like people that are moving now, it's just a different world. So we all have to just adjust to it.
What he's saying is no one wants to go to Nebraska. Also, there are 2 undefeated NFL teams right now. He said there were no.
Well, I think he means at the end of the year.
What was that popping noise? Could you tell me what that popping noise was?
I think I know what it was. What I think it was is either the phone it was or the device it was being recorded on. That's from Nebraska's press conference on Sunday. Either the phone it was being recorded on by a Nebraska staffer or some obnoxious jerk next to them had a live stream going and those were comments popping up.
I think that's what it was. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was comments popping up on a live stream.
But he's right. I mean, this is college football, how it's going to be for a while. And maybe forever.
There it is. There it is. Look, one of the things
there may be something new come along that's even more different than what transfer portal and NIL is. I don't know.
Maybe. Yes. Eventually, they're going to be employees. They're going to unionize. They're going to collectively bargain. And we are going to have a professional structure over, I'm still going to call it amateur athletics for now. It obviously will not be at that point. I do think that is the inevitable reality, because the only way you stop lawsuits is to have both parties agree to a contract, right? And the only way that's going to happen is if they're allowed to unionize, and the only way they're going to be allowed to unionize is if they are given employee status. But I heard that there were a bunch of people on social media that were responding to Matt Rule's comments about how this has ruined football and all that. See, I don't agree. And I think he pointed out when the transfer portal kicked off, I think he pointed out the thing that I leaned on, which was effectively, look, in days gone by, teams could hoard talent. Ohio State could hoard talent. Georgia could hoard talent. Alabama could hoard talent. And they could go get a guy because things were happening. You don't have to like it, but welcome to reality. They could get a guy that would be absolutely good enough to have gone and started for Missouri, to come be the third stringer at Ohio State. Because even though he may have to wait a year or 2 or 3 to ever see the field, that dude was getting Dodge Chargers, and he was getting tattoos, and he was getting clothes, getting fresh dope threads, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, I could go to Missouri, I could play for Missouri, never be on TV, right? Never get a chance to get famous, and try to make something of myself. Or I can go to Ohio State, I can sit on the bench for a couple of years, and there are some of you that think this is good, and I'm not even arguing that you're wrong, because I don't think you are. I think there are some players for Hoopst sitting and developing is the right play. I can go to Ohio State. I can sit for 2 or 3 years and learn and develop and yada, 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 and then get a chance to play maybe as a junior or a senior and have, 2 or 3 years of development followed by a year of 2 or 2 of playing, but also obviously running the risk that I sit for 2 years waiting for my turn, and then they bring in some 5-star stud who's college football ready day one, and I never actually get to play. And now, and this is what I wanted. This was something I leaned on. What Matt Rule is saying now, if you're Ohio State, your collective might look at that same guy in 2024 and go, look, dude, we got so much talent. We got so many players here. We're going to give you a $50,000 NIL deal to come be a horse chestnut. Well, a team like Missouri, the guy that's a second or third stringer at Ohio State is a starter at Missouri, right? Just in terms of talent, he's a starter at Missouri. And so now it makes sense for a school like Missouri to go, yeah, the Buttnuts were going to give you $50K to come sit for 2 years and develop and become a better player. We'll give you $100K to come here and play. Because while that kid, again, Matt Rule said, he might be the 15th best recruit Ohio State can get. He'd be the best recruit Missouri can get. So Missouri says, we'll give you double that and you're a starter day one. We got you, dog. To me, the inevitable reality is you're spreading out the talent. And what I would say is the transfer portal is what, 3 years old at this point? 3 years old.
But are you? I think maybe you're weakening your bench, but the teams that have always been on top are still on top right now. Will there be a point where that's no longer the case because of parity due to the spreading out of talent?
So that's where I'm going. Here's the thought that I had when I listened to that quote from Matt Rule. Yeah, the teams on top are still at top. And let's be clear, even in what he said, which I think he's spot on, even in what he said, at the end of the day, Ohio State and Bama and Georgia just have more money to throw around. They're always going to get the best talent. It's just now they can't hoard it 3 deep on the depth chart, right? Those same schools are still going to get the best players. It's just, you know who they're not going to get? The 15th best player. That guy's now going to go to Missouri, where he's at Texas A&M, where he's going to make that big money. So what I would point out at is when I look at the rankings, you got a couple of things going on. I would point out in the rankings, there are some schools that aren't maybe perennial powerhouses. I'm looking at Oregon. I'm looking at Iowa State. I'm looking at BYU, right? Now I got a bunch of teams. BYU 6-0. They're inside the top 13. Iowa State 6-0, inside the top 10. So my thought would be here, as those 15th best guys on the Ohio State roster, but first best on the BYU roster, elect to go play for the Storm and Mormons or the Cyclones. Those teams now compete a little bit more. And here's my question. The teams that are at the top, Texas, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Alabama, LSU, Iowa State, Clemson. Those are your top 10. Lonzo, do any of those teams right now, do any of those teams feel like they are the clear-cut, definitive dynasty in process right now? Texas is the closest one.
What do you define as dynasty?
Whatever you want. Any metric you want. Do any of those teams feel like they are the dominant program right now?
There is no dominant program right now. And as far as Texas goes, they haven't faced any competition. But I guess if you were going to look at the top 10 right now, Texas would be the one that you would name.
Closest you have, right? So here's why I think this is that Matt Rule's thought here is playing out. Before the portal came into play, when a new head coach got hired to go coach at a new school, the common, at least around the radio shows I've done, the common accepted philosophy was he's got 3 years, right? You got 3 years. Year number 4 is make or break. You got 3 years, year number 4, because that gives you time to cycle out the other guys' recruits, cycle in your guys, cycle in your coaches to mold and shape the program the way that you wanted it molded and shaped. Well, the transfer portal has been open that time now. The transfer portal is now in its age that we would judge a head coach in. The transfer portal is now in a spot that if it was a person, if it was a head coach, this is year 4. This is the year that we would say it is now fair to gauge the results of a head coach. So I think it's fair to gauge the results of the transfer portal. And the results to me are there's no dominant team. Used to be Alabama was dominant for a decade and a half. Clemson was dominant for 4 or 5 years. Ohio State was dominant for years. Georgia was dominant for years. Who's the dominant program right now? There's really not one. Texas is as close as you've got 56 first place votes. And I'll tell you right now, I think Texas-Oregon is a game. I think Texas-Ohio State is a game. I think Texas-Georgia is a game. Hell, I think Texas-Miami with Cam Ward's a game. We are at the point in year number 4, came into play in 2021, where we would gauge the success or failure of a head coach. Coach, you've had 3 years. This is year 4, make or break, prove it. And I would say the transfer portal right now, at least the way I'm looking at it, the way it's shaping up, the transfer portal looks to me like it is proving that the talent is slowly but surely spreading out across college football. And I think the rankings kind of show that to you. So if you put it on the time scale as a head coach, the portal's done exactly what we thought it was going to do. Spread the talent out, remove there being a cyclical dominant program for 3 or 4 years, and then they're out and the next guy's up. There's, 8 teams, 7 teams that could win a natty this year. If they handed out natties for reading sports flashes, Lonzo would win all of them.
Not today. I wouldn't. The Buffalo Bills improved to 4-2 with a 23-20 win over the New York Jets last night. The Jets were down 3 with just over a minute to play when a receiver slipped, allowing the Bills a game-winning interception. Bills quarterback Josh Allen, just one of those, threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, while Aaron Rodgers went 23 of 35 for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception for the Green Bay Packers. The Florida Gators will be without starting quarterback Graham Mertz for the remainder of the year. The signal caller went down in Florida's overtime loss to Tennessee with a non-contact leg injury after a touchdown pass in the third quarter. Reports out of Gainesville claim Mertz will now end his college football career. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Eastside to take on the Eagles. It's Burns versus Eastside right here on your home for Burns Rebels football, The Fan, Upstate.
People just fell in love with her accent, right? They're like, holy crap, do you really talk like this? And she's been making all these videos about growing up in Appalachia. And she's like, yeah, this is really how I talk. My daddy's a coal miner. My mama's been working at the Piggly Wiggly for 30 years. Like, does this. And now she makes these videos. And she's gone from like just this, in the first handful of videos, like just a country girl, no makeup, hair always up, jeans, whatever. And now she's getting all dressed up, but she's comedy gold.
Hi, y'all. It's time for Appalachian Word of the Day. The word of the day is marinara. How fast do you think that car get up to? About 120 marinara?
Here we go. The third hour of the Rob Brown Show is underway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Great to have you here on the radio broadcast. Rocking and rolling through the day, talking some Monday Night Football. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. We got that going on. We got to get some more college footy in here later on in the show. Hockey starts in the upstate coming up this Friday night. The Swamp Rabbits back in. Head coach of the Swamp Rabbits, Kyle Mountain, scheduled to join us on Thursday to talk a little bit about the Hacky team before they get going on Friday. That's going to be a phenomenal time. Can't wait. Can't wait to get back in the well for a little hacky. So we got that coming up for you. And whatever else you want to get to. Text line's open, 781-307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. Phone line's open. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-FONE. And the Ray Memorial Hotline is open for you this morning as well. Go to the Odyssey app. Go to the Fan Upstate page. When you do, in the middle of the page, there's a little circle button with a microphone in it. Click that microphone button, and you can leave a 60-second voice note that comes directly to me and the great one. Go to the Odyssey app, open up the Fan Upstate page, click on the microphone button, leave a 60-second voice note on the Ray Memorial Hotline, and we'll get to those on the air as well.
By the way, my favorite so far, does Lonzo have a boo-boo? That was my favorite.
Do I still have that? I'll happily play it.
Oh, does Widow Wanzo have a boo-boo?
All right. Doesn't that sound like Diesel?
I know. I don't know the person. I know the caller that is.
It sounds a little bit like Diesel. Yeah, it does.
I know the caller that is.
Oh, does Widow Wanzo have a boo-boo?
And of the voice notes we've gotten, yeah, that's power ranked at the top.
I love it. It's awesome. And that's just a sample of what you can do.
Does Widow Wanzo have a boo-boo?
That message came in last Friday at 6:50 in the morning. It's spectacular. For the record, neither Lonzo I know what triggered that.
We do. We talked about it. It was right after you nearly broke my knuckle, which is still hurts.
Oh, that's right. It was the fist bump of doom.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting that. And so, I mean, it definitely was an HR violation, but because I'm a good teammate, I just didn't report it.
It's not an HR violation. It's a fist bump. Somebody squeezes your hand real hard.
I've never seen anyone fist bump like that, by the way.
Oh, dude, that's how
I think you just took the opportunity to hit me.
That's how the boys do it.
Is it? I don't think so.
Oh, does Widow Wanzo have a boo-boo?
Oh, man. Go to the Odyssey app. Go to the Fan Upstate page. Click on the microphone button on the Fan Upstate page and send us a voice note. I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
See? Isn't it fun? Hey, let's get to this. It's the Audio Blitz, our favorite audio we've picked up over the past couple of days on social media. I'm going to save one in particular for the very end because I know that it's going to spark a debate, and it's a debate I'm ready to have because I have come to a conclusion and done so with the help of Guy Fieri. So stay tuned for that, all right? But we got a few more I want to get to.
Let's start. You think I'm going to go against Guy?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I think think we're going to be aligned on this, but I also know that we're going to be aligned on this, and it is going to split the audience 50-50.
Okay. All right.
You and I are going to be on the same page, I think. I could be wrong. We're going to find out. Tennessee, Florida this weekend. If you missed it, overtime game, the Volunteers come back from a 10-0 deficit to win that game. The 10-0 deficit, the overtime victory for Tennessee, not the hype of the game. The hype of the game was a young man by the name of Kason Cagle. Kason Cagle is a 9-year-old kid who was up on the Jumbotron during a break when Tennessee was getting it handed to him by the Gators. They put young Kason Cagle in his bright orange UT jersey up on the screen, and Kaysen Lonzo began to, as the kids would say, boogie, cut a rug, break it down. He ended up being a fan favorite to the point that for the remainder of the game, they kept going back to Kaysen Cagle on the Jumbotron so that he could break out yet even more moves. Well, Kaysen Cagle got discovered after the game and decided, yeah, I'll take my 15 minutes of fame.
I always knew I had good dance moves, but I finally got to show them out. And yeah, I just love the fans. Every time I walked the second, it was either a picture or autograph. So I really loved it.
Get on Twitter today, and everyone's like, "This kid is the reason why we won the football game." Like
That's people saying that.
So when someone says that that's the reason why we beat Florida in overtime, like, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like really good. I'm like, what if we wouldn't have won if it wasn't for me? I also think like half the fans would have left the game with how bad we're playing if it wasn't for me.
Just saying.
My guy, half the fans in the stands would have left the game if it wasn't for me.
Future professional wrestler right there.
For sure. Oh, he wasn't done. Then he got picked up on the UT Barstool podcast.
Anything else going? You want to get off your chest while you're at the game? Anything else?
We didn't play great.
Yeah.
Offense wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
We got lucky.
If you were to talk to the coach right now, say Heupel was in here right now, what would you say to Coach Heupel?
Tell his offensive coordinator to open up the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Josh. Don't. But it really did open up the playbook.
Don't hate.
It's just up the middle, back to back, and then try to take a shot, and it's incomplete. It's punt 3-0.
Yeah.
So we need to open up the playbook, but defense ain't playing at its best either.
Kaysen Cagle's got takes. He's got thoughts. He's got opinions. I got to find this kid, make him a correspondent on the show. That might be our future UT correspondent on the show. Hey, if Josh Heupel was in the room with you, open up the playbook, coach. You can't just run it up the middle, take a shot, 3 and out. I also love that the more he talked Tennessee football, Tennessee football.
The more the accent started to come out, yeah.
The more he talked Tennessee football, the more he sounded like a young man who wanted to talk some gosh dang Tennessee football. Let's go Volunteers! Hell yeah. Love this kid. Hey, speaking of beautiful accents, I don't know about you, Zoe. I'm a sucker for accents. All right? I'm a sucker for a lady with an accent.
Your AI correspondent on your phone, what accent do they have?
She's British right now.
Yeah,
she has been Australian. She's been French. Right now, she's British.
Mine, she's Irish.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for an accent. All right? And I don't care what the accent is. It could be France. It could be Italian. It can be bloody British. I don't care. I'm just a sucker for an accent. That includes like a good deep Southern drawl. I love when I take the wife back down to Anderson to go see her family, because when we get back for a couple of days, she's got a little twang in her voice, all right? And I'm here for it. This young lady, Appalachian girl on Instagram, got famous for having an accent and has now decided, I'm going to make jokes. This is my favorite one.
Hi, y'all. It's time for Appalachian Word of the Day. The word of the day is marinara. How fast do you think that car get up to? About 120 marinara?
Screw you, that's awesome. That's funny. That's not just a well-written joke. That's good timing. That's good execution. She put the inflection when she was telling the joke to make it land. And it's a hot accent. Is that a hot accent? That's a hot accent, right? Like that's just hot.
Absolutely.
That's a hot accent. Even those of us who make fun of the Tennessee Volunteer fans will tell you, yeah, it's a hot accent. I don't know what you're going to say. It's a hot accent. George Kittle left the sidelines during the 49ers game this weekend, scared the dickens up out of the 49ers fans. Oh, we've already lost CMC. Jordan Mason went down. We're down all of our running backs, and now Kittle's going down. So after the game was over, George Kittle went to his podium presser. And
why did you have to go to the locker room?
I had to go to the bathroom. I don't know.
No.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Yeah, who knows? It's a question for my next podium will be next Thursday. See you guys then.
He had to pee.
What the hell you guys say it politely? I want to take a tinkle. I went to take a tinkle. It came back. That's polite, right? Tinkles. I went to take a tinkle. It went back.
Thanks to Giannis, I'm already at a point where anytime an athlete leads the sideline, Lonzo, I just automatically assume, oh, he's got to pee.
I already thought that anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, except for Lamar back in the day, we know what he had to do.
Lamar had the boom boom. All right. And Lamar Lonzo, Lamar had that hustle to him when he had the boom.
I know
that he was in a hurry.
That's why we all know.
Yeah. Lamar was like, yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to get old Tyler Huntley ready. Cause I might be in there for a minute. Lamar is the only quarterback that I've ever asked the question, you think it was regular or was that an emergency? I'm not sure.
Oh, that was emergency.
Oh, that for sure was an emergency. For sure. Hey, remember yesterday when we were talking about Dan Lanning and whether or not sending the extra player on the field was an intentional decision or not?
Much of the commentary world has decided and struck you as a genius, Stan, for the 12-man penalty and declared that it was intentional. Was it indeed intentional to induce the throw one-on-one against Jabbar in that spot?
It wasn't one-on-one. We actually had a safety on top. So there was so it's called dog. It's when you play, but he wasn't in extremely tight coverage, but he was in dog coverage where he had safety on top of him. And there was a timeout before that. We spent an inordinate amount of time on situations. There's some situations that don't show up very often in college football, but this is one that obviously was something that we had worked on. So you can see the result.
Yep. It was 100% intentional.
How hard is it to say yes? Because he was still just kind of like, he didn't say yes. I mean,
he didn't say yes, but he said yes.
Right. But just say yes. Yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again.
I'll do it again. I love it. Not only did he tell you without saying yes, but on top of that, he explained exactly why, and I loved it. We were able to, with an extra defender, play extra dog coverage on that side, which means we can walk the cornerback up to play man-on-man, and he can play tighter because you've eliminated the risk of the cornerback getting beat deep, right? If you're going to play some cushion in a spot like that, remember, the Buckeyes only needed, 7 yards to get to long field goal range, but field goal range. If you got a cornerback up on the X wide receiver, to take away that 7 yards, right? So they can't just quick out to him and he makes a man miss and he picks up 7, 8, 9. You got to play up tight coverage. But in order to do that, you got to take the risk of the cornerback getting beat deep and bang, they beat you on a 9 route down the sideline. So what they say, we brought in an extra guy. We were able to play dog coverage with a safety over the top. So the threat of getting beat deep is eliminated effectively. And we've taken the cushion away. And on top of all of that, not only did we take away the short pass and the long pass with the extra defender, but even if he hits the long pass, like we're still in a pretty good spot, right? Like I loved it. Garrett Cole is a starter for the New York Yankees. You may remember Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole's already got a sound on the soundboard. This was from a couple of years ago when MLB put into play the sticky stuff rules, and Garrett Cole got straight up asked, hey, man, do you use the sticky stuff? Now, this is a condensed version of his answer, but this was his answer.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
Now, that answer in that press conference took about 20 seconds. I condensed it down to 8. Garrett Cole was on the bump for the New York Yankees when they eliminated the Kansas City Royals in 3 games over in the AL Divisional Series. After that game, they said, yo, Garrett Cole, you had a little something going. Garrett Cole, you were out there dealing off the bump today. How you feeling now? What was going through your mind? What was going through your body?
What is running through you right now?
Fired up. Had a couple IPAs, like with the boys, spraying some champagne. I mean, this is the greatest. Yeah.
Turns out Garrett Cole's just a bro. Turns out Garrett Cole's just a dude. The Garrett Cole who said,
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that.
Is immediately back in the good graces of the Rob Brown Show. Why? My dude won the game, disappeared for 20 minutes, came to the media appearance. They said, yo, what are you thinking? What you doing? What you feeling? And my man said, just knocking back some IPAs with the boys. That's it. My dude won one of the biggest games in recent memory for the New York Yankees. eliminated the Kansas City Royals, punched the ticket to the ALCS, one step closer to the World Series. They're like, yo, what are you doing? And my guy goes, knocking back some IPAs with the boys. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Hey, this one's a little long. I'll save it. I don't know if you watched any of the Iowa game. There was a kickoff in the Iowa game that, or a field goal in the Iowa game that went into the stands. And a dude, Lonzo, he alligator armed the ball and it hit him right in the damn face. Well, the Iowa Hawkeye radio crew found him and interviewed him. I'm going to play that coming up later. But the last one for this segment, and when we come back, we have a discussion, debate. I think Lonzo and I are going to be aligned on this one. All right. I'm trying to bring us back together. I'm trying to create some cohesion on the team here. All right. But I know many of you will not be. However, the last piece of audio, Lonzo, for the Audio Blitz on this lovely October 15th of 2024 comes from Audio Blitz staple legend icon Mike Gundy.
Well, I had a little run-in with my cattle over the weekend, and I guess they've been watching us play and got headbutted. So I've got a bad eye that I didn't think would be particularly enjoyable for people when they were looking at my pretty face in a live interview. But more importantly, it's full of blood and I get dizzy, and so it's not easy to be upright and be in a normal function. But other than that, I'm doing great.
Here's my question, Lonzo. Did Mike Gundy get headbutted by a cow, or did Mike Gundy headbutt a cow?
I'm going to go with there was mutual headbutting. You know, like when rams come together?
Yeah.
It was one of those.
This was one.
That cow was coming to him. He's like, put his foot back and just went right on up against that cow.
This was one where the cow was upset because Gundy came in the pasture. Gundy was out there by the hay. Gundy was out there stomping around on his good grass, and the cow did that cow thing where he, like, you know, rub the foot in the grass, like, I'm coming for you, right? Like, you better clear my space. You're in my bubble. I'm coming for you. And I promise you, Gundy turned, looked at that cow and went, I'm a man. I'm 54. And Gundy did the foot drag thing. Gundy dragged the thing, and like two creatures from lore, Mike Gundy and this cow running at each other. They were running full speed. Everyone in the outside world saw it like two kaijus in slow motion. And you know how in those movies, at like right before they go head to head, everything in the background kind of starts to blur and vibrate right before the contact? That happened in real life. Mike Gundy headbutted a cow. He can say the cow headbutted him. I don't believe it. Mike got mad and he headbutted a cow.
I think he should have said, you think this is bad, you should see the cow.
I can't come in because my eye is bleeding. The cow can't come in because he doesn't have a head anymore.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we have a hot take, ladies and gentlemen. We have a hot take from Guy Fieri. It's getting hot in here. So hot. And we debate it next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live. You're going to want to be around for the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Khakis?
No. Do they look like? Well, I'm not going to say that because you'll say they look like khakis, even if they aren't khakis. Khakis is a brand, isn't it?
No.
They're just dress pants. They're not khakis. I remember the one pair of khakis that I bought. Still haven't burned them yet. Been meaning to, though.
Khaki trousers are made of heavier cotton fabric and have a looser straight cut. The seams of khakis are visible, similar to jeans, which gives the trousers a nonchalant look. Khakis come in muted earth tones such as khaki brown or beige and are often visible with pockets, side pockets, and zips.
Listen, I know what khakis are. I just got to look at Jim Harbaugh. All right, that's all he wears. So, but I don't want to look at Jim Harbaugh. What if he still lives in the motorhome down by the beach?
Down by the river.
And if he wears khakis to the beach, probably. Salvation Army next break.
Tam 4. All right, where's my Guy Fieri take?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Saturday at 7, live on Disney.
Who's going in?
All those people that they just showed.
I wasn't watching.
Yeah, I could have told you like 5 minutes ago, but I can't now because I don't want to.
It was a long time ago.
It was.
All right, quick segment here, but an important segment here. Guy Fieri was at the Cincinnati game this weekend. And before the game, Guy Fieri, excellent ambassador for humanity. Guy Fieri was on the sideline and he was being interviewed by the news station in Cincinnati.
Doesn't he give you Stoneman vibes?
No, Stoneman gives me him vibes.
Okay, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the wrong. The spiky hair is part of it.
They could hang and look like that they're related.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I wonder if they'd have the same take here because Guy Fieri got asked a question that is a question that has plagued mankind for as long as mankind has figured out that you could cut chickens into pieces and put them over fire.
Are boneless wings actually wings?
If you have time to bone out a wing, that's a whole nother world. But no, there's no such, that's a chicken tender nugget something. There's no such thing as a boneless wing. The reason we love wings is because of the fat, because of the skin, and because all that flavor that comes out of the bone. No, wings are wings. No, wings are wings. You can't have the wing, right?
Absolutely.
So, Guy Fieri Guy Fieri, noted knower of food, says that boneless wings are not wings. They are, quote, chicken tender nugget things. And that the reason we like wings, and by the way, just so we're clear, I like boneless wings, but they are not wings.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
definitely not wings. Even
They're
my,
adult chicken nuggets.
even my 6-year-old granddaughter, she doesn't want she wants the wings. All right. If you give her the boneless, she just won't eat them. Because she's quality. Boneless wings are fine, but they're not wings. They're not. They're just not. And we don't even know that there's wing meat in boneless wings.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's all the meats in boneless wings.
But there could be no wing meat and all the other meat in there.
Sure.
We don't know.
Sure. I think the important thing here, though, is that I'm not saying any of you have to do anything because as Lonzo is quick to point out, we are not arbiters of anything. It is not up to us, never has been, to tell you what to do, how to do it, or when to do it, or why to do it. But What I am going to say is this to local restaurants, eateries, establishments, etc. Please do not advertise that you have wings if what you have is boneless wings, because you don't have wings. Okay. Now, if you want to call them boneless wings, if you want to put up the advertisement, all you can eat wings, I expect you to have wings. Okay. I expect you to have drummies. I expect you to have flats. Now, you don't even have to tell me how you're cooking them if they are AYCE. All right. If they're ACE, you don't have to tell me how you're cooking them, smoking them, deep frying them, grilling them. I don't care. I'm in. Okay. I'm already in. But Guy Fieri, noted knower of food, says what makes wings special, and he is correct as a knower of both ball and foods. What makes wings so delightful is all the different things that he mentioned, right? It's the texture of the wing. It's the skin on the chicken still.
Also the challenge of the wing. I mean, trying to get all the last bit of the awesome tasting chicken off of the chicken wing.
See, I am a no meat left on the bone kind of guy.
There you go.
I'm getting after it until that thing is clean. But it's the skin, the texture, it's the fat inside of the meat, not just the meat itself. Because when you take the stuff that you process down into boneless wings, all that stuff's in there, but it all gets grounded into a paste. Then again, Daddy loves a chicken tender. I love me some chicken nuggies. I'm not above it. All right. I will knock that. I actually haven't had a chicken nugget since we did the chicken nugget punishment on Bet for the Cycle a couple of years ago, but I've had some chicken tenders, which are just big chicken nuggets. Okay. They just are.
They just stretched them.
Yeah. I just need it to be known because it has happened to me. It's been a while, but it has happened to me where I went to a place for a wing special and it turned out that it was a boneless wing special. Those are not wings. Those are chicken nuggets. Just say chicken nuggets. All right.
I'm so glad after a couple and a half hours of this show that you and I were able to come together and agree on something.
You know, I figured that would happen. I figured you and I were going to be on the same page here.
Well, food is normally our place of reconciliation.
Sure. It's food and wrestling. I mean, you can tell if Lonzo and I are having a combative day because the off-air conversation is food and wrestling. All right. But I'm bringing it here because I think this is a humanitarian discussion because the people who go to bat for boneless wings being wings, they fight with passion. Commendable and respectable as ill-placed as it is. If you are an eatery, an establishment, a bar, a grill, and you are serving boneless wings, you must label them as boneless wings. And if you really want to be the guy, just call them chicken. Just call them baby chicken tenders. I'm good with it. I'm still coming. I'm still eating them. But stop. Okay? There's no such thing as boneless wings. There's wings, and there's adult chicken nuggets. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Salvation Army.
All right, guys, one more and we're back. Stay right there.
TNT hot wings. How hot?
TNT.
How hot are the hot wings at TNT?
See, I found that some places call all wings hot wings.
It's implied that they're explosive. All wings, hot wings. I mean,
like just buffalo wings. They call them hot wings. And it's like, they're not, like some of them are not hot.
well, hot is subjective. There's some things that are not spicy at all that my wife thinks are spicy. And it's like, and you may be a little desensitized from, New Orleans food where you think that's not spicy and someone else may be crying from eating it. Although lemon pepper, not spicy. Teriyaki, not spicy.
No, not at all.
So, not hot.
Courtney ate, when we were in St. Augustine, she ate a burrito or something that had a piece of a diced jalapeno. Not a jalapeno, just one little diced cube of jalapeno. And I thought she was going to die. And I'm like, I was pouring jalapeno juice on mine. Like, the difference we have is incomprehensible.
Well, all that'll come back to hit you at 50. Trust me.
The Rob Brown Show continues right here on the Fan Upstate. I have talked about the 3 C's of recruiting over the years. Coach, cash, culture. The more of the 3 C's that you are able to put onto the table, the better your football team's going to be. The more of the 3 C's that you're able to lean into, the better the recruiting. And whether you like recruiting or not, I'll be honest, like probably the biggest shortcoming for Rob Brown is that I am openly honest about how little I care about following recruiting.
It's a lost art. It's not a thing like it used to be. It's just not.
I disagree. I do think, however, with the onset of the portal era and the fact that guys can just come and go. It used to be, if you were following a football program, there were, 60 recruits you had to pay attention to that your school was openly interested in, right? Like 60, maybe at most. There were 60 guys, and probably 15 of those at most were dudes that were, that have the opportunity, the ability to come in and be immediate game changers. So I think now with the portal, a guy can come in and be a big game changer and then just leave. I think people have fallen out a little bit, but it is still, whether you agree or not, and I think Florida State is doing more to prove this than any school ever, you better still have a damn good recruiting program, because the portal, as I told you it should be as a pro portal guy from the beginning, the portal should be supplementary, not primary, when it comes to adding talent. Now, Florida State had one great year leaning on the portal, and now they are having one of the worst years, maybe the worst year in program history, leaning on the portal, right? Well, I do think that it is becoming now more important than ever before to be able to lean on your coaches. And culture at a program, obviously. Culture at a program, obviously. It is mucho importante that your coach understands culture, that your coach leans on culture, that your coach establishes culture. We have a couple of times in the last week, we have played some audio from Clark Lee, the head coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, because that guy is doing a hell of a job establishing a culture at Vanderbilt, right? At Vandy, a school that beat Alabama, and a week later, when everything was against them doing so, went to Lexington, Kentucky, and knocked off the Wildcats the very next week. There's another cat I've been following with great interest. That's Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham's out at Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State knocked off a top 15 Utah squad this weekend. And I'm going to play you 2 clips. I'm going to start with Kenny Dillingham on the field immediately after this game, a game in which the Sun Devil fans rushed the field because of this being such an enormous win. And I want you to compare and contrast this to when Arizona State brought in Herm Edwards a couple of years ago. Here's Kenny Dillingham on the field after the dub.
Cam Scatterbo. Wow, you see him every single day. What makes him different?
His mindset. He's got a dog mentality. This team fights, and they fight, and they fight. That's who you need to talk to right now, not me.
Yeah, good luck finding him, though. Coach, what impressed you the most? What impressed you the most about your defense tonight?
We stopped the run on in the first half, and we had great red zone. We fought, man. We competed. That's what football's about, competing.
This team beat you 55-3 last year. Ultimately, in a calendar year, what's the difference?
Our work, man. We put in the work. Our kids care. We have kids that care, that do it for each other, and they...
You grew up in this town. You're an alum. When you look around and you see this moment, what's it like for you?
It's kind of crazy. I was one of these guys. I was doing this.
So the audio goes out, but let me tell you what happened in that moment. Kenny Dillingham and the young man doing the interview there, I forget who it was, because this was like 4 days ago. Get off me. I'm old. Kenny Dillingham was mobbed by Arizona State Sun Devil fans. And when he answered that question and he said, I'm one of them, I was here, I was doing this, right? This guy, this is a Sun Devil alum now coaching his own football program. When he said that, Zoe, he like leaned back into the crowd of students and then like Batman just disappeared into them. The interviewer had to like grab him and pull him back out. This dude was living his best life. And you could tell in that moment that this mattered to Kenny Dillingham. Not just a win, but getting this program to the spot that this win mattered that much. That's the guy I want leading my program, right? Like the 3 C's, cash, culture, and coach. To me, all three of them lean on each other. It's a triangle. All 3 C's lean on each other. A culture is established by a great coach. A great coach establishes a great culture. The cash starts to come in once the culture was established, and cash can help make a good coach better. All right? They all lean on each other. I want a Kenny Dillingham. I want a Clark Lee. And I think you're going to start seeing more of this. I think because of that 3C triangle, you're going to start to see less old school, gruff, military style coaches. And you're going to start to see more Kenny Dillinghams. You're going to start to see more Clark Lees because these guys come in and they care. Do you know what the fastest way to make sure that all the guys in a circle, all the gals, all the people in a circle around a particular topic care about that topic? Make sure the guy that's running that thing cares about that thing. I promise you, if the guy that's running a thing cares about that thing, he is going to treat that thing as if it is gold. And if he treats that thing as if it is gold, he's going to treat the people that can help make that thing better like gold as well. This is the type of cat who gets it. This is the type of guy who gets it. And not only is he going to make sure that the guy who comes there to play, regardless of who he is, where he comes from, transfer portal, recruit, offense, defense, whatever, he's going to make sure that they feel about the program the way that he feels about the program. The way that you get a guy to come in and want to be a part of that program is to have him get connected with a guy who is already there and wants that program. Real quick before we get out of here, here's Kenny Dillingham's post-game presser.
We were picked to win 4 games this year, so a lot of Sun Devil fans obviously picked the over in Vegas, right? For those of you guys who won, put that money back into the collective, right? because you get to celebrate these wins. You get to have another cold one with your friends. You get to have great Saturday nights. That should be enough for you already. Take that money that you've won, put it back into these kids, put it back into that collective, right? And let's enjoy the rest of the year.
Love it. Love it. He's advertising. And it's a joke. The reporters all laugh. It's a joke. Ha ha, funny. If you bet the over and it cash, put that money back into the collective. Except here's the thing. It's not. It's not. Because at the end of the day, they got a great coach in Kenny Dillingham. They've got, you can tell, they're building an excellent culture out there at ASU that the players are believing in, Kenny Dillingham believes in, the fans very clearly have bought in. What's the last C? Cash. The last C is money. You want to win, you better be able to pay up. You better be able to have that NIL money available. You better be able to have that, the money that builds you new locker rooms and builds you new facilities. Because Arizona State's now right there on the map. They stand out after that win, after that interview. They stand out. People have eyes on that product now. They're going, wait a minute. This is the same program. One of my funniest things, one of my favorite things ever was when Herm Edwards got hired to be the coach there because the program did not care. And they're like, oh, there's a coach, there's a name, let's hire that guy. And they hired Herm, and it is introductory press conference. He comes in, and the first question is from the student paper, which I want to say it's called like the Devil Digest or something. They're the Sun Devils, right? And he's like, hey, so-and-so, Devil's Digest. And Herm Edwards goes, I don't deal with no devils. Like he literally thought they just had like a satanic newspaper covering the football team, right? He's like, I don't deal with no devils. He didn't even know the name of the damn program he was coaching. He didn't care. The athletic director didn't care. The staff didn't care. They just wanted a name. Now they got a dude who is a Sun Devil. Now they got a dude who cares. And he's built a program that's got a culture. It's got a coach. And now my man took that moment, his time where the cameras were pointed at him, and he said, look, you have a good time, Sun Devil fans? Y'all enjoy that? Y'all like that? We can keep rocking with that if you want. But if you want to keep rocking with that, I'm gonna need you to take some of them Vegas winnings, ship it on over. Let's get these kids taken care of. Kenny Dillingham gets it. That's college football now. You got to be a business manager and a coach, and Kenny Dillingham is killing the game at both. You know who else kills the game? Lonzo, when he reads sports flashes.
Don't kill the game. I am the game. The Buffalo Bills improved to 4-2 with a 23-20 win over the New York Jets last night. The Jets were down 3 with just over a minute to play when a receiver slipped, allowing the Bills a game-winning interception. Bills quarterback Josh Allen threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, while Aaron Rodgers went 23-35 for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception for Green Bay. Notre Dame has flipped highly touted 4-star quarterback Blake Hebert away from Clemson. The number 6 dual-threat quarterback announced his decommitment and move to the Irish on social media yesterday. The 6'3", 215-pound quarterback from Connecticut had been committed to Clemson since June of 2023. Now he's going somewhere else. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Eastside to take on the Eagles. It's Burns versus Eastside right here on The Fan, Upstate. Better if I could actually catch it. It just happened to land there. It's kind of awesome, though. I hope I'm this silly when I'm 90. If I make it that far. I hope I'll make it that far. You never know. It's picture day where, you get out of class early and you don't have to worry about getting all your work done because you can say, hey, it was picture day and I had to, get pictures done. Sorry. And the teachers don't assign homework like they usually do because, it's picture day.
To be honest, I'm already.
I hated picture day though, because my teeth were so crooked. I was told not to smile with my teeth showing. And then I had braces for 5 years. And then I didn't want to smile because I had braces. Back then they didn't put the permanent retainer in. So once you lose your retainer, then your teeth go back a little bit. So now the real question for picture day is how much of my time will be taken from Rob's 25,000 clothes changes?
I have 3 jerseys.
You're going home to get more stuff, dude. That's what you said.
Cowboy hat and like a basketball.
Yeah, I don't care. It's like, take the picture. Yeah, it works for me. Let's move on to the next thing.
Not me. We got one shot at this for a year.
Or 2 or 3.
Or 3. I brought all my glasses so I can match one to each outfit.
Of course you did. Hey, man, radio's hard. We got to take pictures today. If you're a plumber, you don't get pictures taken, I guess. Do they? Maybe plumber of the month? Do they have
Plumber
that?
of the month.
It might be that. I mean, it's possible. I think. Maybe. I'm Jerry. Plumber of the month in the year 2024, September. Look for me in the plumber calendar. Will we do enough pictures between the 4 of us that we can do a fan calendar? So people, the people want that. The people will buy that.
People.
Come on. Can we throw a $5 towards the photographer and tell him to take a close up of Diesel's beard? We need it for creative purposes. I'm just glad some of you got to see my sweet moves. Not Rob though, because he always leaves the room. It was pretty amazing. I'm guessing, Keegan, if that is your name, that trade has something to do with it. And I'm guessing you probably charge for your services. I mean, trade is barter. You're bartering something for something. I don't know. Maybe we can barter a seat on the show.
Final hour of the show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show. Robin the Great One, Lonzo with you. Got a couple of texts that we need to get to so far this morning. Texas said, Lonzo, last week I asked about the biggest roadblock for South Carolina, and you got frustrated and said, it's just one bad game. I now agree with you. End quote.
Cool. I mean, do you want me to gloat?
No, I'm
serving
it up for the spike right there.
No, I'm not doing that. Cool. I mean, the thing is, Rob came in and apologized kind of Monday. So, I mean, sorry you missed that. You should go back and watch it over and over again. Like, post it wherever you can of him apologizing.
I'm a big man. I can apologize, both physically and metaphorically. I'm a big boy. I can apologize. I got it wrong. I screwed the pooch. I again, if you ever listen to anything I say, don't. But if you did not work, or if you did not watch that game because of me saying you're going to get smoked, that's on you. All right.
By the way, person on the stream, I'm not sure that's how you spell floozy, but I've never seen it spelled before. So, I mean, that could be it. All right. There are words that you never thought you'd get a chance to say on the air. And so I took the opportunity. What can I say?
Floozy's a good one. Underutilized word.
It's a good word, not a good thing to be.
I don't know. I mean,
wow. Really?
Live your best life.
Really?
Let people live, Somebody wants to
would
be a floozy.
you consider yourself back in the day a floozy?
What would you consider a floozy?
It's a loose woman, I believe.
A floozy. I'm looking it up in the Wiktionary.
What the heck is that? A witch dictionary?
No, it's a Wikipedia dictionary.
So anyone can change the definition.
No, that's not how Wikipedia works. You can't just go in there and willy-nilly change stuff.
Yeah, actually, you can't.
No, you can't.
You can.
You can't.
Do you have a Wikipedia page?
No.
You
know why?
If you did, I'd go in and change it.
A vulgar or sexually promiscuous woman, a hussy or slattern.
By the way, hussy's also a good word.
Hussy's a good word.
Every time John Hussey is on the TV, I laugh.
That's a dude's name?
It's like, yeah, he's a referee. It's like, so just obviously yelling, "Come on, Hussey, get it right."
I'm going to change. My new stage name is Roberto Floozy.
There you go.
Texter said, sometimes I'll make stuffed chicken tenders. You take a breast, pound the ever-loving bleep out of it till it's flat, then get some cream cheese and jalapeno, stuff it, and bake it. See, I do that too, but I do it, I make them into pinwheels, right? So I do the same thing. I usually use a tenderloin, not like the full breast. I'll either flatten them out or I'll use a tenderloin. Take your cream cheese, take your very thinly diced jalapenos, put it in there. I'll roll it up, stick or skewer through it, then bake it that way. Make them into pinwheels.
All right. So if you've been listening to the show, yes, Rob is trying to get a cooking show. He's been trying all morning to get a cooking show. He's buttered up, if you will, to Guy Fieri. Can't say his last name. So he's got spiky hair.
Fieri. Nailed it.
It's Fieri. I get
Ladies
it.
and gentlemen,
listen,
Flavor Town with Guy Fieri.
It's Fieri. I can say the word. I was joking.
Fieri.
Yeah, I'm not doing that part. I'm more on German looking than I am Italian, so it's not going to work. Or Norse looking.
Texture said, Rob Brown, Rattler looked really good despite the loss. Do you think it might be time to evaluate the head coach position? Play calling was rough. Hey, Dennis Allen.
We suck.
Yes, Texter. Do you know when I said it was time to evaluate the head coaching position? In the offseason.
Well,
6 months ago.
No, that's been for years, actually. You've been saying that for years. How long has he been there?
True. Too many years. Why do we have our wagon hitched to a man that has a 33% career winning percentage? Here's a fun fact. Our buddy Doug Irwin, CBO of the Greenville Triumph, Denver Broncos fan. The Saints and the Broncos got a little Thursday night ball. Dougie Fresh and I going to meet for some adult refreshments while we watch our two teams punch themselves in the gonads for 3.5 hours on Thursday night. He texted me the other night with the fun stat. If you do not include games in September, in Dennis Allen's career, great one. If you don't include games in September, in his entire career, in October, November, December, and January, Dennis Allen in his career has won one game against a team that would go on to make the playoffs. Now, I don't know if that's true. Doug said it to me. I accept it as true, both because A, Doug knows what he's talking about, and B, because screw Dennis Allen.
Looked it up because I was curious. He's 18-22, so he's better than Robert Saleh was.
He's 18-22 in what? That's not his overall record. His overall record's like 17-35.
Well, according to the internet, he's 18-22.
No, that's an old number.
You think it's old?
Yeah. I'll go find his real. It's like 18-35 now or something like that. Oh no, here it is. 26-50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. He's just as bad as Salah.
Yeah,
so he should be fired.
Yeah. He's not good at the coaching. He's lost the locker room.
Why would the first thing that popped up be something? Probably because no one looks up Dennis Allen.
Yeah, who the hell cares about Dennis Allen? I don't care about Dennis Allen. He's my damn coach. Yes, it's time to evaluate. The point here, Texter, is yes, it's been time to evaluate.
So is the Texter saying that Spencer Rattler should be the starter?
That is a question that is currently being asked right now.
Do you think he looked better than Derek Carr?
It depends on what you're talking about. I think Derek Carr was throwing a better ball than Spencer Rattler was. He had a couple of misses, but I will also tell you, behind that hodgepodge offensive line, Rat Daddy is more mobile. He's able to move the pocket left and right. He's more comfortable on the run than Derek Carr. And on top of that, Derek Carr, as was evidenced by that embarrassing interception he threw on the opening drive against you guys Monday night last week, when he got under pressure and he just threw it 90 yards in the air and yelled 500 when he threw it. Spencer Rattler's much more comfortable under pressure right now because he can trust his legs more. And on top of that, Derek Carr's been injured for like 3 straight years now. He gets hit, he gets banged up. Rat Daddy's not doing that right now. They're not going to take Derek Carr's QB1 job away from him due to injury unless Rat Daddy comes out. Now, I talked to Cody Decker, who has had the same oblique injury that Derek Carr has, and Deck said 4 weeks minimum, like 4 weeks minimum. I said, talk to me about this injury. He said it hurts to move, twist, breathe, eat, drink. It just hurts all the time. You're not taking a shot from, Grady Sizemore when you've got this oblique injury. So Rat Daddy's going to have his opportunity to grow and get better unless he just comes out absolutely balling. Derek Carr will get his job back, but I feel comfortable saying he's the future. Texter said, Rob, that Appalachian girl you played.
Hi, y'all. It's time for Appalachian Word of the Day. The word of the day is marinara. How fast do you think that car get up to? About 120 marinara?
That joke is so dumb, and I love it so much. Texter said, Rob, the Appalachian girl you played is an OnlyFans model. Okay. I mean, she clearly is doing very well.
How do you know that, Texter?
I mean, it's Twitter. They just straight put it in the bio nowadays.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if maybe they just...
Ain't no shame in the OnlyFans game. All right. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody told me I can make $1 million a year taking my shirt off, I'd be walking around all the time. All right. All the time. People would pay me money to put it back on.
Floozy.
Wait, what's the opposite of OnlyFans? All the fans will give me $1 to put my shirt back on. Good on her. She figured out how to make that cash, baby. She don't need no man. Texter said, boys, you're wrong on the chicken tenders. Real chicken tenders are literally tenderloin. Yeah, I was going to come back and correct that. I'm glad you did. Chicken tenders are made from tenderloins. That's why they're called that. Now, the question mark for the boneless wing fans
allegedly,
is... No, not allegedly. That's what tenderloins are.
No, that's what they're supposed to be. But they can put anything in there and say that's what it is. Would you be able to tell a difference in taste?
Okay, so for the record, being called a tenderloin and being a tenderloin are different things.
Hey, man, I'm not trying to derail your cooking show, all right? Stop getting angry.
I'm not angry. I'm saying...
It's the glasses, people. You have all noticed it. You've all noticed it. It's the glasses.
A tenderloin, a chicken tender, is by definition a tenderloin. Now, if somebody sells you chicken tenders, you are working on the assumption that they are tenderloins. Ergo, a chicken tenderloin.
By the way, I never knew that because I don't care. It's made of chicken. It's breaded. It's probably going to be good. I don't really delve
Well, then you
into
can't
it
be
that
upset
much.
about the difference between wings and boneless wings.
Yeah, I can.
If it's just chicken.
I can do whatever I want.
Both are just, you can. I'm just saying you're being inconsistent here.
No, I'm not.
No, you definitely are. By definition. Texter said 100% can tell the difference between a tenderloin and a nugget. There's different textures you can see in the grain of the chicken. Oh,
Yeah.
I agree.
And the tenderloins are longer. I mean, they're not in nugget form. I mean, there's that. I mean,
It's true, but I can take a tenderloin, I can cut it into shorter pieces, cook them as if they are nuggets, and you can still tell the difference. I agree with that. Texter said, did you know that the price inflation on food has caused most restaurants to refuse doing all flats? Reason being, you wind up with nothing but drums left over. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm a drummy guy. You can keep the flats. Give me the drummies. I will pay extra for all drummies every time.
By the way, it's, I agree. Yeah.
I am all drummies all day.
There's less effort in a drumming than there is the flats. So, I mean,
That's true. I just, I don't know. I mean, the meat.
We're not lazy. We are just efficient.
Oh, no, I'm lazy.
That's all.
For sure, I'm lazy. I don't even try to pretend that. I'm absolutely lazy. But
So you are now robbed a lazy floozy?
No, it's also the fact that I can go ham on a plate full of drummies with one hand, right? Like I can one hand the drummies. With the wings, I gotta get up in there. I gotta press the meat out from between the bones, right? Like you gotta get up in there. Nah. You gotta get up in there.
I mean, I do like one over the other, but I'm not going to refuse either.
No, not at all.
So do people actually go, okay, here, you take these. I don't want these when they get a plate full of them?
There are restaurants that will allow you to pay like an extra like 10 cents a wing to get all drummies or to get all flats. If that's an option for me, I'll pay the extra $2 to get all drummies. Now, if I go to a party and I go, I'd like some wings, and somebody brings me a plate of wings and it's drummies and flats, I'm demolishing that plate either way. But if I'm at a restaurant and you give me the option to pay more to have a plate full of drummies, I'm doing that every time.
All right, that's 1%er money. I'm not going to pay an extra $2 just to have that. I mean, that's no. Just.
Texter said Mike Gundy should have said, I'm doing great. Going to be eating lots of burgers and steaks. Yeah, for sure. If you missed it, Mike Gundy headbutted a cow. I mean, I don't know that's exactly what happened.
Come on,
but that's what happened.
We know. We've seen it in our minds.
Well, I had a little run-in with my cattle.
My cattle.
And
Mike Gundy having cattle is the
I
least
guess
surprising thing here.
Watching this play, and got headbutted. So I've got a bad eye that I didn't think would be particularly enjoyable for people when they were looking at my pretty face in a live interview. But more importantly, it's full of blood and I get dizzy, and so it's not easy to be upright and be in a normal function. But other than that, I'm doing great.
Other than blood in my eyeball, being dizzy, unable to stand up and walk around, other than that, I'm solid, dude. I'm great. My eyeballs got blood inside of it because I headbutted a cow. But other than that, everything's spectacular. I'm a man. I'm 54. Like, that's the best thing. Texter said, I know the talent is more spread out because Alabama isn't playing Clemson in the college football playoffs 4 years in a row. Yeah, going back to that conversation. Other texter in that same conversation said, why am I agreeing with Matt Rule? Because he's right. If you missed the clip that we played earlier, I'm not going to play it again because it's a couple minutes long, but effectively, Matt Rule said, being able to build up a program in college football now is more difficult than it has been before. And he let it off. He said, look, you can't do what you used to do. You used to be able to look at the schedule and go, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. You can't really do that anymore, right? Because the talent's more spread out. He said, look, if Ohio State wants a guy and he's their, 15th most important recruit, that guy might still be the most important recruit for, say, Missouri, right? So Penn State might, or Ohio State, whoever, the big dog, the Ohio State, and I'm using that one because that's the one Matt Rule used. The Ohio State might go, hey, man, look, we got like $50K in the NIL collective for you if you come here. Because he's the 15th most important recruit. But to Missouri, he might be the best player they can get. And so they're going to go top NIL dollar for him. They might offer him $150. And so Matt Rule's saying, if you're that kid, if you're the 15th best recruit for Ohio State, and Mizzou comes calling, and they go, hey, man, look, you're going to be the best player in the class for us. You're going to be an immediate starter. You're on the field in game 1, week 1. And because you're the best we can get, we're going to give you $150K. There's going to be some kids who take that deal, who go, you know what? I'm going to get to play now and I make more money. Yeah, it may not come with the prestige of being an Ohio State Buckeye, but you know what that comes with? A cha-ching and PT. I'm taking that gig. And it's spreading the talent out. And if you missed that segment, my argument for Matt Rule being right is this. Before the transfer portal, in the olden days, when a coach took over a program, most of us said, you got 3 years to build the program, and we evaluate your success or failure in year 4, right? Transfer portal's in year 4. We're in year 4 of the portal. So if the transfer portal was a head coach, now is the year that we would evaluate their success or their failure. And in my opinion, I think just by looking at the rankings right now, the transfer portal was successful in that aspect of the game because it is not just the same dudes over and over, the same 4 or 5 teams over and over. There's like 9 teams that are legitimate championship contenders right now. And I think next year, there'll be a few more. The portal plus an expanded playoffs has worked, according to Matt Rule and me. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding.
Of course, I nail it, and then the thing has music behind it. So lame.
Dun, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum.
I'm Appalachian.
Nope. Yeah, Jacob, I've seen the like you grab it on both ends and you twist and pull, and I guess the flat's supposed to just fall apart, and then you just have all the meat in one go. I'm gonna tell you, and maybe it's because I'm an idiot, I can't master it.
Or you daggum cover it with a napkin and do that.
Lonzo
Pull it
just
out
likes
from the
that 'cause he
napkin.
gets to punch his food.
Pull it out from the napkin. Boom, it's
Is
apart.
that really? You just hit it? Is that real? I'm asking genuinely.
Why would it not be real?
I've literally never seen that before.
It's because I just made it up. But I mean,
Well, ask if it's real. That's why I can't trust anybody.
I am a broadcast professional. I could have kept going. I mean, you know, I could go for years and go, yeah, definitely. I do it all the time. Hardest thing to be in radio, straight man.
I was about to Google, can I punch my wings?
It's not really, that's a hammer fist. It's not a. Is a hammer fist a punch? I guess.
I would say it is.
I guess it is kind of because it's a. Okay.
Also, R-Truth following the Miz around was hysterical.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of it, but I've
so
seen
funny,
I've
dude.
seen clips.
It's worth a watch.
Oh, well, I'm gonna watch all of Raw when I go home. And you meant friend of the show, R-Truth.
Yes, I did. Sorry about that.
Pretty soon, we're just going to be able to say all of wrestling is friend of the show.
Friend of the show, everybody.
Friend of the show, professional wrestling. So we could definitely do the DX pose, but I think it's kind of it's overused. I mean, you know,
Still, I don't think it is anymore. Not that it's faded out, but it's just as people who were in their influenceable phase when DX was there, we're in our 40s. We're not really telling people, not really dropping the DX on people like we used to when we were cheering. Still fun. Bring it out every now and then. Still fun.
I was going to say, you're still flipping birds. Why are you not DXing?
The bird's a more adult way to tell somebody to screw off. It's definitely a more childish way to do it. Still awesome.
I prefer to tell them that and they don't figure it out till 5 minutes later. That's more fun for me.
Report dropped out earlier this morning that the SEC and the Big Ten have been discussing with continued interest a potential scheduling agreement that they both believe would lead to a significant increase in media rights revenue. Look, we've talked about this a number of times. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it because there is something else I want to get to in this segment as well about Kirby Smart. You all know what it is already. That's okay. We're going to get to it anyway. Dude, I am at this point convinced that we are at some point going to end up with 2 college footballs. We're going to end up with whatever it is the final product that is the SEC and the Big Ten, the B1G. And then we're going to end up with a second football that is going to be what I thought. Remember, I said for years there, we were going to end up with the B1G, we were going to end up with the SEC, and we were going to end up with the EEC, the Everybody Else Conference. If you didn't catch an invite to the B1G, if you didn't get an invite to the SEC, but you were a revenue-generating school, all of those schools were going to have to team up and create the EEC and try to have enough clout wrapped up in the EEC that they would be able to get a television revenue deal for, let's say, 40 teams that would equal the television revenue deal for the, let's say, 20, 22, 24 teams in both of the big dog conferences. Whether it was going to work or not, I did not know. But I have now moved on from that idea. I don't think we're going to have the Big Ten, the Southeastern Conference, and the Everybody Else Conference. I think you're going to have 2 college footballs. I think you're going to have the B1G and the SEC over here. And over there, I think you're going to have everybody that gets left behind. And I think that is going to become the new FCS, FBS, honestly. I think you'll still have FCS ball. Those schools have figured out how to make football work, even if they're not big money generators like the big time programs are. I think they'll still exist. Like I don't think this is going to be the end of, Furman and Wofford football. But I do think that the folks who don't get invited, I'm talking about the Vanderbilts and the Wake Forests of the world. I think all of those schools are going to have to band together and go, look, here's the deal. If you want any connection to advertising on our football product, you're going to have to give our overall conference, even though there's more teams in it, you're going to have to give us a similar television deal to stay relevant. I don't know what that looks like, to be honest with you. I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. I don't know what that shapes up to look like. But I do think it shapes up. And I say that because, and you guys want to know why it is that I've been upset that the NCAA has acted as if they are, and it is because they are, a feckless, fangless, toothless organization. The answer is because without regulation, the inevitable conclusion of unbridled capitalism is monopoly, right? Like that's just how it works. At some point, somebody ends up with all the stuff, right? You prop up 10 companies and they all make widgets. I don't know why is widgets the thing? They all make widgets. And there's 10 companies out there making widgets. And they're all, they're different kinds of widgets. Well, company 2 one day realizes that they're making the same amount of money as company 1 and company 3, but they can't do anything about it. They can't raise the price of the widget, but they also can't lower the production value. So what's the best way to increase your capital? Easy. I'm going to buy widget company number 6, and I'm going to incorporate their widgets into my widget company. Now I'm making 2 widgets, and I can get the profit from both widgets. Well, company 8 over here goes, they got an edge. We got to get in. And so they might spend a little bit more money, but company 8 buys company 1. And now I got 2 big companies. And what can those 2 big companies do? They can start pushing widget companies 3, 4, 7. I don't know why I'm trying to keep track of this. They can keep the other widget companies and they can start pushing them out. And then eventually they drive those widget companies down to the point that they can buy that widget company too. And now you got 6 widget companies. And then the other widget company goes, we got to buy that one over there. And they buy that widget company. And this is the point where regulated capitalism would say, whoa. You're solely eliminated competition, which prevents the buying public from having prices driven up through the roof because there's less sources, but the same amount of demand. Well, if the Big Ten and the SEC, as they are very clearly doing here, are going to create a scheduling agreement, what happens there? What happens is they're putting the biggest product out there. There's no way to fight against them. The television companies have to start moving all their money away from producing out ACC games on that weekend and start going, all right, Fox and ESPN are just booked up every weekend with B1G and SEC games, right? We're going to do, in week 1, we're going to do an SEC Big Ten Challenge. Well, guess what? Every game is going to be on either ESPN or Fox, which means there's no room for anybody else to be in there. And all those other schools start losing that money as well. If we are going to go down this path, a path that ends with the SEC and the B1G locked in an arm-in-arm partnership, the EEC, by inevitability, can't exist. Not because people don't care about them, but because there's no room within broadcasting anymore. And before you hit me up with, what about their own networks? Look, we've done that. Quick question. How many of y'all got the ACC network? Not many, right? Not many. I mean, I know there are a bunch of you that have it. But it's not like the ACC network's churning in money hand over foot, right? The SEC network is. The Big Ten network is. The individual schools that have their own networks, the Longhorn Network, etc., those do well. But there's just not unlimited money to go around. And so if the B1G and the SEC are genuinely going to team up and say, not only are we the big 2 conferences remaining, but we're actually going to mandate that our schools play each other. Remember, not only is this mandating that they are playing each other, but even if they say every SEC school has to play one B1G school and every B1G school has to play one SEC school every year, that's one less game for those schools to schedule. An ACC squad or a Big 12 squad or a Pac-12 squad or a Mountain West squad or an All-American Conference squad or a whatever other conference squad. That's a lot of games cumulatively. What are we on right now? 18 Big Ten schools and 16 SEC schools. Now I'm real bad at math, but if I'm doing that right, if that's just one game, that's 34 games that those schools aren't going to be scheduling other schools. That's 34 games where the 2 big conferences are preventing, if this is the deal that ends up coming through, that's 34 games a year where the Big Ten and the SEC aren't going to be playing Georgia Tech, Georgia. And that's not a bad example. They won't get rid of that rivalry. That's 34 games where you're going to get locked out of Alabama, Florida State, which those two schools have played a number of times. LSU, Florida State. Clemson, LSU. LSU's coming to Death Valley. We got a Death Valley Bowl in 2026 here in South Carolina, right? Those types of games, out the window. Why in the hell would LSU put Clemson on the schedule if they get Ohio State that year on the schedule, mandated by the conference, right? I'm not adding Florida State to that. Absolutely not. I'm not adding Clemson to that. Absolutely not. So, I think this is, I'm not up in arms about it because I guess I was prepared for it. Like I said, this always felt like an inevitability to me that we were going to end up with the two big conferences. They would get partnered up. They would do all they can to help each other out. And they're effectively just going to shove everybody else up out of the market with this. And again, as long as we got somebody in the chat, Sigma said, there are sports fans all across America. Every conference should care about the community and people that find them first, not waste valuable money and gas on traveling. Again, Sigma, I get it. That is the idealistic land of college football, where it's based in regionality, where its roots came from, where Clemson's playing Wofford and South Carolina and ECU and South Carolina State and yada, yada, yada. That's the idealistic view. But as is true with everything else, idealism goes out of the window the minute that money becomes the primary objective. And I'm sorry to tell you, if you didn't already know, money is that's the primary issue now. That's the primary issue. The goal objective one is get that money, y'all. That's why I got Kyle Dillingham minutes after winning the biggest game of his coaching career so far, gets on the post-game press conference podium and says what? Hey, fans, if you guys bet the over win total on the Sun Devils and it cashed this weekend, send that winning ticket to our collective. And it's like, haha, funny. He wasn't joking. Because if those kind of things don't happen, they're not keeping up with the SEC. And he knows it, and you know it, we know it, we all know it. That is why I'm convinced we're going to end up with two different levels of college football. The SEC B1G level and the everybody else level number 2. Welcome to it. It just is what it is. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show to wrap it up on the Fan Upstate. All right, we'll take an active chat. I mean, again, like these are it's all nice sentiment, Sigma, but it's all, again, I'm not saying this in a derogatory sense, even though it's going to sound that way, and I apologize if it does, but that's a very idealistic way to look at football. I'll give you the comparison of a conversation I've had before. It is the exact same as when we make the argument that teachers should be paid more, firefighters, police officers should be paid more. The overwhelming majority of us all agree with that sentiment, right? Like we all, I'm going to say almost, because there are some political motives here. But I think the overwhelming majority of us agree that, let's use teachers as our example, that teachers should be paid more. They provide an incredible service to the future of the United States of America. Teachers should be paid more. Nobody's arguing that. But at the same time, you can only pay when there is money. And money is only there when the public agrees that that is where we want to put our money. And as the famous line from the program, phenomenal movie, once said, show me a time where 80,000 people showed up to watch a kid do a damn chemistry experiment. right? Like we put our money where we want to put our money. And it has been shown time and time again that while, yes, I will tell you as the bleeding heart liber Rob that I am, yeah, I absolutely believe that education is wildly important. I fight for education. It is vastly important to me. University education, good, solid, consistent high school standards, etc. I am a believer in education. And I will fight for education. But do you know what I do on Saturdays and Sundays? For about 9 hours every weekend, I watch football. Okay? I watch football. The day we convince America to turn their television channels into, I was going to say the Learning Channel, but that's just a bad reality TV show now, or reality channel, which I think is the point, right? That might be an even better example. The Learning Channel used to be a phenomenal educational source of television. The Discovery Channel used to be a phenomenal educational source of television. And then one day, they put on Ancient Aliens, I think is the name of that dumbass show. They put on that stupid idiot with the tall hair. And they're like, what if the pyramids were made by aliens? They weren't. All right. But you know what happened? America went, oh, I'm entertained. They tuned in by the millions. And advertisers went, no, we don't want to put our money into these incredible documentaries anymore. We want to put them into the jackass with the big hair.
Wow. Hope you're happy. None of us want to hear that. And you don't know the pyramids weren't made by aliens.
No, I do.
No, you
I
don't.
do. Yes, we do.
No, you don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
It is
No, you
literally
don't.
recorded.
No, we don't. No, you
Yes,
don't.
we do.
It was not recorded. With what?
Papyrus.
Stop popping your peas. There's
Papyrus.
Yeah, projectile. That's what happens with the peas.
Passive pandemonium amongst the public persona.
It's HR violation.
Mr. Brown, could you come down? We're going to have to have a word with you. Yes, Lonzo reported you to us today for a behavioral violation. He said you used 6 consecutive words that started with the letter P. We're also not sure how that's an HR violation, but we felt the need to address it privately.
And then they'll ask you to say all those P words in a row.
Pathetic production of post. I got nothing left.
I'm having the bob and weave over here. I'm doing pretty good as far as I know.
All right, we got one segment left. Do you think there's a? Let me ask you this. This is. I'm not up in arms against this, mainly because when you start to get an idea. When you start to get an idea of who someone is, what's the old phrase? When someone shows you who they are, I think Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The Georgia Bulldogs have had a little bit of a, let's say, a public relations image over the past couple of years. Because they've been having dudes right and left putting on police officer friendship bracelets.
All right, I just have to stop you for a moment. It's not been a couple years. We're talking decades, dude. It was like that when I moved here.
Yeah, but I think with the new coaching staff and with Kirby Smart, and on top of that, let's call it what it is. Keep it a buck. We pay more attention to programs that are winning.
I disagree around here. Every summer, we know 1 to 10 Georgia players is going to be arrested for something.
Sure.
That's just, I don't know if it's a rite of passage in Georgia. It could be. But it definitely is always a story every summer. And Georgia fans are like, why can't we do an all year round program to keep them busy, give them something to do?
I think that there is, okay, then I will say a growing sense of concern over the Georgia Bulldog Athletic program. You have had 100 football players, asterisk, not really, arrested for reckless driving, obnoxious speed. You have had a fatal accident. We had 2 weeks ago, we had a wide receiver get picked up for battery on a woman and an unborn child. Like, it's a bad look. And then this past weekend, Kirby Smart got thrown out to the forefront. Kirby Smart, a coach who's already having his everything questioned because of the, let's say, behavioral issues of his football players. During the 41-31 win at home over Klanga, Mississippi State University, Klanga. There was a moment where Mississippi State quarterback Michael Van Buren Jr., that's a name, Michael Van Buren Jr. was running to the sideline, was outrun to the sideline, jumped out of bounds ahead of a Georgia Bulldog defender. But because of his rushing angle and velocity as he moved towards the sideline, he ended up on the Georgia sideline. And as he was walking back over towards the field of play, Kirby Smart, who was running over to get up into the grill of a referee who, by the way, did not call a late hit out of bounds, so I'm not really sure what Kirby was ticked off about, pushed Mississippi State quarterback Michael Van Buren. Did you see this clip? Have you seen this yet? Great one, Lonzo shoving the quarterback. Kirby Smart shoving the quarterback.
I have not.
Okay. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you on the X. But effectively, Kirby Smart, as he was running over to the official, shoved Michael Van Buren Jr. It was pretty evident in the spot. I'm sliding in your DMs with the video, Lonzo, but I want your initial reaction before I tell you what Curb had to say about it yesterday. Van Buren's on the sideline. He's not bleep talking. He's not up in the grill of any Georgia players. He gets shoved out of bounds. He's bummed about the result of the play. He hands the football to the ref. He's turning to walk back to the sideline, and Kirby Smart gives him the old what for.
He's not even looking at him. He doesn't even know who it is. Someone's coming into him, and he just moves him out of the way.
You talking about Kirby?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that.
It looks like he's talking to someone as he's walking over.
Oh, he's definitely chirping at somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not disagreeing. He's definitely chirping at somebody. But Kirby said yesterday that he called Jeff Lebby, the head coach at Mississippi State, and apologized to him. He said, quote, "I went back and I watched it. I didn't even realize that I had run into him. Yesterday, I talked to Mike and told him that I had no intentions or ill will toward him at all." Smart shoved Van Buren after the freshman was pushed out of bounds on Georgia's sideline at the end of a 6-yard run with 2:55 left in the game. After the game, Smart said he was trying to get to defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann's attention when Van Buren ran into his path. He said, quote, "If you've ever been on the sideline, it's pandemonium. It's really pandemonium when you're trying to change personnel and you've only got 3 to 4 seconds to do it. We were bad off in a bad personnel grouping and I was trying to get to Schumann to get that changed," end quote. So I am going to tell you that I've watched this video like a number of times. And I got to tell you, like, I don't know. Because here's what I'll say. If this is, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If this is Dabo Swinney, I completely believe him when he says this. Hey, man, look, that's on me. That's my bad. I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get to the DC. There was a lot of dudes over there. I didn't realize it was him. That's my bad.
So there's a history with Kirby Smart that I don't know about?
No, it's more everything that's going on at Georgia right now. When you've got a program that very, very glaringly has an evident problem with undisciplined players, and I'm not just talking about on the field, I'm talking off it, right? When we're talking about guys that are beating pregnant women, when we're talking about half your team has spent a night in jail for reckless driving, going 120 marinara down the interstate. To me, that is an acceptable reason to assume that there are issues with the head coach as well, right? Like this is a dude who has Again, I'm not going to say Kirby Smart's short-tempered. I don't know the man. I've never had a one-on-one conversation with him. What I can say is he was very clearly fired up on the sideline in this spot. And I'm looking at a football program that over the past, I say, couple of years, Lonzo says, those of y'all in the upstate have known this to be a truth for a long time. For a program
decades. It's decades. Okay. I know
I'm good with
it
that.
just seems like you don't want to say decades, but it's decades.
Well, again, I'm not going to say it because I haven't been paying attention to Georgia football. They haven't been worth paying attention to.
And you haven't been here
me.
for decades. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And for many, many years when I was down in Florida, Georgia was a good team, but they weren't what they are now, right? They just weren't. They weren't that until I moved here. So for a program that has had disciplinary issues for a long time, Lonzo is willing to say decades, but certainly since Kirby Smart took over at the helm. And not only have these disciplinary issues continued during Kirby Smart's tenure, but I have seen nothing to lead me to believe that they will change under Kirby Smart. It just looks to me like Kirby Smart doesn't give a good gosh darn what's going on with his program, the behavior of his program away from the athletic facility. And so when you have that reputation, when you have built that reputation, and I would be willing to say that reputation, and I'll tell you this, and I mean this, I am willing to say this reputation is justified and earned. You know why? Because if there's one dude in this building who goes out of his way to make sure that unjustified negative connotations are not attached to a person, place, or thing, it's the man I'm sitting across from right now. If there's one guy who is willing to put himself out there to make sure that unjustified negative connotations are not applied to someone, it's Lonzo. And so if Zoe is willing to sit here and say that this is absolutely the reputation of this program, and it's been the reputation of this program for decades, then I'm willing to say the reputation the last 3 or 4 years is justified, is earned. Okay. And if the last 3 or 4 years is justified, is earned, that's on Curb. And if the reputation in the last couple of years is justified and earned, I don't think it's much of a stretch to say Curb's kind of there too. And if I got a QB that is out here getting shoved on the sideline by a head coach, and he comes out and he goes, yo, that's my bad, that's an accident. Like I said, if that's Dabo Swinney, I believe him. If that's Shane Beamer, I believe him. Hell, if that's 97.8743% of college football head coaches, benefit of the doubt, I believe him. But for some reason with Kirby Smart, I just got a hard time believing that was completely an accident. I think my man was on a rage to get where he wanted to be, and he's like, yo, jackass, it's my sideline move, and shoved old boy. I don't think it's a great look on Georgia, and I think something's got to be said about it.
Brown Show presents Twitter.
By the way, real quick, Jacob says Georgia's been a bunch of jailbirds for as long as I can remember. Mark Richt was too soft to do anything about it, and Kirby just doesn't care. As long as they're winning, nobody else is going to do anything else about it either. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting right now. Good call.
All right, that intro sounds familiar. All right, the first thing that's Xing is.
I thought we were doing water cooler cheat sheet here.
Yeah, possibly. The first thing that's Xing is Ryan Day.
Ryan Day Xing as the Ohio State Buckeyes dropped their roadie first contest as conference mates with the Oregon Ducks out in Eugene. Autzen Stadium was absolutely rocking. I'm assuming he's trending because the Buckeye fans have jumped on the you better get us in or you're out wagon.
Oh, no, it's more he needs to be fired because it was coaching that cost the game against Oregon. He just can't lose a game in Ohio. You just can't.
Do you agree with that? You put it on coaching?
No, it was a quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, he did get out coached a little bit because of a rule,
but he got out coached by a dude that is widely considered one of the best offensive minds in football. Right now.
But still, the quarterback gets down. They have 1 second. They have a chance at the field goal because they did have a timeout left. So I'm blaming the quarterback.
I mean, listen, it's a dumb mistake, but I also say, listen, you don't have to like it. The philosophy for most football fans is the buck stops at the top. So if I got a quarterback that's not situationally aware, doesn't recognize there's 6 seconds on the clock, I don't have time to scramble for the first down and get down. I just got to go down to at least give ourselves a shot at a Hail Mary. That's a quarterback who's not coached up in the eyes of a lot of fans, and I can't really push back on it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some things you just know, especially as a football player. He should have known that. I blame him. We'll see. He's got time to make up for it, hopefully. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Jason Kelce.
Jason Kelce trending because Jason Kelce was out there as he got set for Monday Night Countdown, was out there tailgating with the Bills fans and doing what I have been told, though not seen yet, bowling ball shots.
Yeah, I've seen it, and you're leaving out a very important part. He was dressed up as Fred Flintstone with the Grand Poobah hat on. I've always wanted a Grand Poobah hat. Do you know the Grand Poobah hat?
I do know the Grand. Yeah, blue with horns on the side.
He was doing that and doing the bowling ball shots.
Fred Flintstone, noted member of the Water Buffaloes.
Yes, not a drinker. Obviously, myself, I've said that many times. But how much would be in a bowling ball hole? Is that like more than an average shot?
No, I would say
it's just about visual.
It's right at a level shot, like a 1.5 ounce regular traditional bar poured shot. I'd say it's right there in that mix. But I also think, yes, the concept of grabbing a bowling ball and turning that one upside down and knock down, that's more of it's a novelty thing. It's like a shoey. It's like a keg stand. It's the same as regular drinking, just more fun.
By the way, the Grand Poobah hat looked good on him, and Swagoo tried it on. Looked good on him too. You got to be a burly guy wearing the wearing that the Poobah hat.
Yeah, no, listen, there's no skinny Fred Flintstone. All right, there's a reason Fred was the Grand Poobah.
All right, and finally, Brock Lesnar is trending.
Because we're going to Saudi Arabia, got Brock in there.
Wow.
Brock in there.
Wow.
It's just the same thing every year, dude.
Yeah, but you are the only one that I know that gets frustrated by all of it.
Because it's the same show. We're doing the same show every year.
No.
For Saudi blood money, we're doing the same show every year. Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay, fine. Some could find blood money and all money probably if you tried hard enough. Not defending it, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with the people who we know murdered a bunch of people straight up outright as the bad guys here.
Again, not defending it. And it will be a different show this year because
you're defending it a little
I'm
bit.
not, because there are belts. I'm just defending the fact that you said it wasn't different, and it is different.
It's not different.
There are belts.
We're bringing back
there
Brock.
are championship belts.
We got Goldberg involved for absolutely no good reason.
So you're avoiding the fact that championship belts is different.
That is the definition of polishing a turd. It's still a turd. You polish it up all you and drop a diamond right on top of that turd. Now you just got a more expensive turd.
I've never understood that. So did someone actually try to do that? And that's why they're
No, it's an expression. Lonzo.
Yeah,
Some
but
people
who looked
speak in
at that and
metaphors.
went, you know what? I bet if you
have to-
polish that, I mean,
if I have to describe something as, then the best way to do it is describe it as, and then slightly nicer when it's slightly nicer.
I get that more than the polishing part.
Yeah. You've taken a turd, you've polished it. Now it's a slightly nicer piece.
Speaking of polishing those things, it's picture day.
School picture day. Lonzo and I got to go get a pictures made. Don't worry. You'll see them on the internet eventually, I'm sure. Maybe.
Doubt
We'll
it.
see.
They keep those secluded. We couldn't even buy them.
Y'all have a spectacular rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
All right, y'all, I got a jet. Daddy's in a hurry. Got to run all the way back to the house and then all the way back again. I hope you all have a spectacular day. Thanks for being here. Love you long time. See you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.